Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Canada Contenders League on this fine Saturday. You're watching Valors versus Viral here. I'm Corbeck. Alongside me in the casting booth is Stickula with Excess and Unnamed on production. And Stick, thank you for hopping in here to join me for this one. And it should be a relatively interesting one because Viral is 12-0, currently undefeated in CCL.
I mean, yeah, Viral have been a really shocking team so far, and they've been kind of giving everyone else sort of that expectation and that bar to meet. We're here on the final play day when we've got an awesome little treat for everyone that tunes in tomorrow as well with that little LAN showcase match. You'll be sure to tune in for that one. I imagine it's going to be a lot of fun seeing some of your familiar R6 players actually in person on LAN. That'll be a real fun one, but we do have a couple more games today, as you mentioned. This first one being a legit match between a top contender versus a team that's really looking to kind of shake things out finally here on Playday number 7. And then later in the day, we do have Viral competing again in a sort of double header scenario where they will actually have a VOD match that we'll be casting over as well. So if you're interested to look back to week number 3 and see how that game plays, we'll be going to that in just a short bit. But we have this first best of 2 to dive into. And of course, with that, we have the map veto as well to dive through and see where we'll actually be heading in reality for the battleground here.
Yeah, indeed. We'll get a look at the map bans. I think there was a little bit of confusion over there in the map ban world, right? Somebody was trying to ban something and couldn't quite get it stuck, but looks like we might be a little bit stuck here as well, all things considered, but that's okay. We'll get there eventually. I think the first map tonight, I can just spoil it. I'll just be spoiler. I think the first map tonight will be Chalet. Am I right in that one? I think that's what I saw earlier.
Yes, we did get that. We were having a little bit of excitement back here in the green room. I don't know how much Chalet has actually been played here in CCL. It is not a huge favorite in NA from more so what I've noticed kind of down from the T2, T3 level. Some teams really like it. You know, you're kind of more proactive teams who want to get that new map, even though it's starting to kind of slip into the more regular Siege a little bit more than, I think it's been out for about 2 seasons now. So it has had its time to kind of get accustomed to the play style, and it's really kind of an interesting map to watch because of the fact that it solely is the one attacker sided map, which is really a concept that we haven't had a lot of time to talk about in Siege.
No, it's very strange in the sense that it holds that spot. It's also, I think, done a really good job of starting to win people over, really, in terms of how popular it's been. I've noticed that it's just been increasing in popularity ever since its rework. Now, whether or not that's just because it was something new that was introduced to the pool and people are excited about it, I don't know, but I think we're just about ready to get started here, so we'll go ahead and swap over to the game, and we'll take a look at the bans as we get started here in the French Alps. Viral 12-0, Valors 7-5 for reference there.
So the contending team here to see if maybe they can shock the odds coming into this match. Of course, we're on a little bit of an accelerated schedule. For those of you who have stuck with us, we apologize for the delay, but the match is here. We have the Siege, we got the casters, and we actually get to talk about the game that is in front of us. Of course, it's Chalet up here right at the front, and then Cafe as that second pick coming out from Valor. So if you're interested about that, stick around for the second map. Valors have got a bit of a challenge on their hands, but I think they can stand up to the task. The one thing that we often talk about is kind of that early game momentum. A best of 2 is a really different beast from a best of 3. You know, you can't rely solely on winning your map pick if you want to, eventually go to that decider here, because Corbeck, there just isn't a decider. There's only 2 maps. You've got your pick, the one that you feel comfortable on, and then your opponent's home territory. So if you're looking to get the full points here, and if you're looking for a confident win, as I imagine Valor surely they are going to be doing heading into that playoffs picture, they know what it means to close out the season with a dominant victory and really set the stage for what we'll see in the postseason.
Yeah, I actually quite like the best of 2 format, to be honest with you. I think it's a very effective way of going about these style of tournaments. Everybody gets their 2 maps, they get their play in. But speaking of play, you'll see these operators being taken out of play here. Nothing too surprising across the board. Thatcher, Hibana, Valkyrie, Mira shouldn't really shock anyone at this point in time. These have become very standard bans here on Chalet. I was hoping maybe we'd see something a little bit off the wall. I've been very much enjoying the smoke bans that have been coming out over in the major, or at least a couple of times that's been in, and Tashanka has kind of been slotted in instead, but will not be the case here. As we start off with Valor's on the first floor, they'll take kitchen and dining initially, and running a pretty standard setup there as well. Mute really the only hard breach denial, but no real hard breachers. A big note, Rapid Ace there on the side of Viral, but again, it's all going to be about verticality here on this point stick. This is really the one that is dominated by the need to play above and kind of take that space and then push down. And actually, I think it's the defining feature of both of these first floor points on this chalet.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I had no idea that Jimmy Buckets was playing today. I used to cast him in AEL Season 2, and it's such a fun name, and it's such a fun playstyle that Jimmy brings to the field. So we'll see if maybe Jimmy can score a couple of buckets here in this first map as we get underway with Chalet. I don't think there's really anything too crazy to scream about. Maybe you can mention that Viral are trying to go for more of an active roam clear. They're looking to back themselves with a Jackal, which could play a role in kind of upsetting some of these vertical extension positions up on that top floor. Of course, is a kind of a pretty common facet of this dining and kitchen setup. You will see defenders try to invest a little bit into the office area and stop the offense from bringing in their sledge. That'd be Stern to try to use his hammer to get rid of some of the key defender hold points there inside the A and B objectives.
Yeah, Trackle actually gets a fair amount of play here on this map, specifically because he does do some good aggressive roam clear. It does help on the top floor. On this top floor in particular, we usually don't see kind of the sort of staid, common defensive setup that we see over on the other first floor point when you're defending from the top down, but you will, like you said, see that extension up in the office to just kind of slow him down a little bit, as MX Reaper is going to go ahead and pump some shots through a window right there, I think, just to get it open. Stern doing the droning here as well, and they'll just really begin to get a sense of what's going on. Gingy is up on the top deck, though, waiting, as is Storms. And these are going to probably be the initial points of contact here for this defense, depending on how Viral want to attack it. Rapid sitting up relatively comfortably on the balcony right now. I think probably looking to go ahead and get that office wall open, but he's got a bit of a problem. There is a mute jammer sitting there, so he will have to get some support, and there it is, easy as you please.
Well, another fun little aspect of this game, I guess I probably should have asked production for lineups on either side, because for Viral, they've got Ashes substituting in, and for those of you who might not know, Ashes played for the team that I coach for, Bagel Boys. I've had a little bit of an intermission from the team as I've got some personal stuff going on, but it's going to be curious to see how Ashes plays at first, because I kind of have that sort of back-of-the-mind idea of how his playstyle works, having, you know, kind of coached him up a little bit and worked with sort of his strengths and his weaknesses, so we'll see what he can do. And I did see on Twitter a couple weeks ago, I think it was in Playdate number 5 when Ashes subbed in, he had a huge clip that he hit on the Zofia, so watch out for him as sort of that signature playmaker filing up in the front side.
You got the insight for us. You got the inside track. You might know something I don't know, which is good. Ash is currently waiting just outside the door there. Rapid in that area as well. Smithers playing up on the wall off of the fireplace hall balcony, or second floor, whatever you want to call it. Smithers is also going to jump over the side, really directing a lot of their focus onto the horizontal. Not so much focus on the vertical anymore. Smithers doing a little bit of droning there. 45 seconds left on the clock, and so far, nobody's died, Sting. It's been very peaceful here in Chalet. Oh, there it is.
There we go. Caster's Curse comes true, and Badger does not get to hang on, so he will be useless with those smoke canisters sent on to cam duty. The Execute has got to come in pretty swift here. Explosives used. Vertical control, it's really not much. Valors do not have a lot of pressure up above, and they can't really use it to kick out any defenders from actually within the site itself. Two bodies going cold. Stern and Rapid DBNO. The former actually gets confirmed. It's now Reaper and Smithers have to make a decision. What are they going to do with the 4 seconds that they have left here? No control of the case. Try to go for frags, but they won't even find the last two defenders, as Valors are there to clean it up on the first round, and a bit of an ugly pace from the offense.
Yeah, much like everyone, really, ultimately in life, they got destroyed by time. The great factor, you just can't ignore it. They waited too long. It really took them forever. I mean, to be fair, that top floor defense, I think, kind of stumped Viral just a little bit. You saw that they eventually sort of gave up on that top floor pressure at all, redirected almost entirely towards a more horizontal take, and then just kind of got caught in the crossfire because, like you said, Stick, they had no way to pressure down. They just could not get, some of those defenders wedged out of their positions in there. I mean, we saw some brutal crossfire under Reaper at the end. Just shows you how well ensconced Valor's was at the tail end of that. And I don't know, it feels so rough to watch a team take that long for the setup and the execute. And obviously, Viral is better than that. So probably just a little bit of growing pains or getting used to it here.
That could definitely be something to think about as we get a clear picture of how Viral feel on the map, but, it is their pick, so
yeah,
I don't know how many excuses we can give them there. We'll have to see. Maybe it's just a sort of a first-round issue where they're just starting to get used to it. Maybe they weren't the most warmed up.
Warm it up.
Get ready to go. But the one gripe that I would have there, that felt very one-dimensional. They tried to attack upstairs, but all in all, their whole push was organized from the main lobby and sort of the chimney veranda. There was not a lot of extra effort coming in, not a whole lot of window play, which really troubles me as well, because there's so much that you can get done off the rappel on Chalet, especially when you're trying to sort of clamp down on that extension up above. To be honest with you, I don't think Viral got any purchase off the vertical extension. Yeah, they got into the site, but the question of the horizontal play was backed up by uncertainty. There were players below, and very easily through that dining room hatch of Nitro could have flown up and caused more havoc, even if Viral had a confident plan to start to come down. But we're over towards the opposite end of this first floor as we're talking about bar and gaming. And Valors have sent us up above with the typical extension, bringing in the Goyo as well, but Badger gets isolated, caught out from Rapid at the gaming window, which leaves me kind of a little bit bewildered, because that's the second time now your smoke is the opening death.
Yeah, they've lost him twice now, and that is unfortunate because he is a valuable operator. And Jimmy buckets to the total, but carrying him off in a bucket after that one, I think he is done and dusted, and now you are running out of bodies. Add one more. Stern there getting the kill, and they're climbing back hard here are Viral. They'll add another one to the total. It's all down to Gingy. He does pick up one, dropping down the stairs, but he's immediately lit up by Stern, who had himself a bumper of a round right there. Real good stuff coming out from the SMG-11. Gotta love it. That's probably why they're taking it away. At least temporarily, I think, right? That's the plan. They're taking that away from Sledge. He doesn't get that anymore.
Yep. I'm sure Sludge mains are going to need a lot of tissues when that nerf
comes. It's a sad day.
But Viral, they fix it. I mean, that first round, I think this is sort of the moment where we just say maybe that was a little bit of a fluke, and Viral just were not in the right headspace because, wow, I mean, talk about a absolute mirror finish, or I guess an opposite finish you would say there, because that was nothing like the first round. Viral were very decisive with the way that they executed, and it's almost like Valors didn't have any setup on the top floor at all. How swiftly it fell.
Yeah, they just killed everybody. They just killed them. The defensive setup didn't even matter. They just slaughtered them wholesale. I don't know where Badger was when he got caught out, but wherever he is, he needs to try and maybe be somewhere else. As kind of blatant as that advice is, blunt, but that's just as simple as it is as well. Anyway, they're setting up again here on the top floor. You see the typical kind of defensive extension. I do actually really like this point, and, if teams are not wise about this, that can be a real problem. That library hallway is quite a killing ground. But Viral, like I said, they just they pick the lock by just smashing it. We'll see if they can do that again. I'd be very nervous if I was Valor right now. That felt like a very much a punch in the mouth sort of round. You're going to want to play this a little bit more cautiously, I think, this time around. Rapid already looking for the entry, but he will wisely drone instead to make sure there's nobody waiting with any nasty surprises on the other side.
Chalet is definitely a map that will benefit you if you are very thorough with the droning, and I think that should go for all maps in Siege, but if Viral can lock down all sources of intel, and if they can continue to net this opening frag, as we see it become now a third time that they've done it, without a trade, I should add as well, from Valors, that can, I mean, kind of overwhelm you. How do Valors react to the situation? You know, maybe it's less solo plays that you want to try to use. I suppose that could be said. Jimmy Buckets was like down in the basement, and I don't think anybody else was there with him as well, so, you know, that is kind of the other look that you will get at this bomb site sometimes. On the reattempt, maybe Valors were putting their eggs in the basket that Viral would again go for this more direct push up above and try to clear out the extension rather than sort of take a look at it from that off angle coming down through the basement, as it's an entry point that Valors haven't armored up terribly too much. Of course, they had Jimmy down there, but it was kind of an all or nothing scenario because Jimmy dies, and now it's like there's no defender presence below at all, and Viral, as a result of that, take a look at Stern's position for a key example, are able to move up, and they're able to test, really, the periphery of the setup from Valors.
That's very true, actually, and it's something that I think a lot of teams do on this chalet at this level, where they really don't put too much effort in the basement, which is all right, I guess, but it's usually just one defender maybe hanging out there, possibly two, and, you know, you lose them, and suddenly that angle is open, but, I mean, Stern has kind of taken advantage of that in a sense and really created some space right here. A little bit of a dagger sort of poised to drive into the side of this team. Gingy is still covering on the top deck. Shu is here as well, but the bomb site definitely threatened here. You can tell by these smokes that are going off, but Stern will collect a kill. Stern on just a tear on this chalet map, and they are just in.
Wow, okay. I mean, I didn't expect that one to be as almost conclusive as the previous one, but there still are two bodies left. Don't get me wrong here from Storms and Shu, but that drops very quickly to only the Aruni. She's got 4 hungry opponents, spots the head, I believe, of the Iana, but is sent back in return. A frag grenade, well cooked there on the toss as it lands, boom, and the Aruni goes bye-bye.
Smithers blew her into smithereens, you could say. Anyway, that was the end of that. Smithereens is a weird word, by the way, Aztec. I gotta look up where that comes from, but I digress. Again, yeah, it is a piratey word, isn't it? I don't know where smithereens comes from. It's very strange.
My bounty was blown into smithereens. They took all my treasure.
No. Yeah, what's a pirate's favorite letter, Stick?
Arr!
No, it's his first level will always be the C.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see.
Anyway, we're looking at a problem there with that basement. It was really the basement was kind of the critical point there. Funny enough, that one little bit of staircase, they pulled off for about half a second, unfortunately, and it just allowed them the opportunity to sort of slip in. So ultimately, the vertical defense really wasn't what was doing it for them there at all. It was quite an interesting approach from Viral. They basically looked at that standard defense on the top floor and was like, you know what? We're not doing that. We're doing something very different today, and they just went completely around it. So that's what you get. Now, if you look at this top floor side, it's a good switch, I think, coming off of that first floor. You've had 2 kind of miserable rounds there. You might as well give it another go. It was even a bit of a risk, I would say, to run it back again. But now you are here on the top deck. You can sort of set this up. Not much of an extension out into the library. Some teams do kind of like to play that, and this is a very dangerous position here from Storms. He is looking for an early pick on the Vigil, and he will find it. So it does pay dividends, and more than dividends, because it's Stern who drops first there. 5 kills to his name so far, 1 death. Stern has really been kind of the stalwart of this Viral roster so far on the day, but he will be down here now. Smithers also at 4-0, should be considered as a dangerous player too. Mostly just trying to hold this top deck now and really let him come to them, but Storm still skirmishing out there on the outside, waiting for the opportunity. Reaper, though, well, he's the natural counter to that Vigil. He does have the feet tracking enabled if he uses it, but he's being a little bit aggressive about it, and it's a little bit worrisome in that regard, Stick, that he's just kind of out there.
Well, even if the Jackal hadn't tracked the Vigil, you can start to hear the very signature sound of that K1A. Drops open the hatch. Joined now by Shu as well. Pretty clear plan in from Valors. They want to hold below. Viral could address that. The one thing, only hard breacher is rapid. And you have to pretty clearly decide, okay, all the hard breach on the wall upstairs, or are we going to have one of the Selmas used to weaken the position in dining? To be honest, I think Valor's probably will only see their top wall open. I don't imagine Viral will try to go down there below. And that also prompts the question, does Jimmy Buckets have a mute jammer that could step into the way? Ashes will try to swing there, but the one thing you'll note, it felt like he was kind of pushing that on an island. Maybe they were tracking the player. No, the Inox was used for the player within the below extension, not that roamer downstairs. So we have a pretty clear demarcation. This round has gone a much different direction. Nitro sails up there, just sort of the center area of the lobby, but nobody is really close in proximity. As you can see, Reaper has started to move up. Storms is looking here, but he does not see the player crouch just on the opposite side of the drywall.
It's kind of funny in a way, actually. Oh no, Reaper, don't come through the door, mate. He's waiting. He's still again. Reaper, no!
Reloading.
Oh, the Inox betrayed him. There were no footsteps to be seen. Or perhaps he didn't even activate it at all. Whatever it was, it would not work. Smithers does manage to get a kill here, but you're wrenching it back. Fowler's still really in the driver's seat, though. Storms has another one, and then Badger finally gets a little bit of overdue revenge there and send Rapids back to the great beyond, right on the doorway, too. Oh, good old shoddy kill there for you to end it up.
I'm just sort of thinking back to that one. Honestly, sort of feels like a parallel of the first round, where they have this two-layer defense. Of course, in that other interpretation, the site would have been on the first floor compared to there in round number 4 where it's on the top. But to me, it feels like sort of the same issues appear. The hard breach didn't really get them anywhere. You know, they opened the wall, but there wasn't much of a plant focus. And my God, was that Vigil effective? He was really constantly causing a problem there. Got to give some credit to that play on the roam, which I think could help the defense out a little bit more. So, it's not totally a lights and sirens sort of alarm position. The game is still tied equal. Conventionally, if this were a map like Oregon, Cafe, or Clubhouse, we would be talking about, okay, it's 2-2. Let's see if the defense are going to close it out to 4-2 and kind of meet the expectation. No, here in this situation, Tristan, we could see the defense exceed, go beyond, unless the attackers are able to rally back together and use that vitriol that brought them the 2 gaming wins.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think one of the critical factors there, you kind of hit the nail on the head, was just the amount of value they got out of that Vigil. I mean, from the very start of the round, Stern got capped, and it kind of felt like that took the wind out of their sails. I mean, Smithers tried to do a job of stepping up into that role, but only got 1 kill on the round. Still, I don't think we can put too much stock into it. Viral's still a very strong squad. They've showed a propensity, I should say, to just absolutely annihilate Valor. And they could very much do it again. Defender's still doing some setup here with about 15 seconds in, but it's nothing too alarming. Finally getting those mute jammers down, just double securing. They had some success on this last point. It's really only been Bar Gaming that has kind of been their bugbear. So hopefully they don't have to go back to that one anytime soon. You see the drone coming in already. MX Reaper still sticking with this Jackal pick. Had a bit of an unfortunate situation last time. Hopefully not going to be a repeat of it again, because they have been putting a little bit more investment into their roamers on this Valor side. Kind of having them team up down there, I think, was a wise strategy.
Yeah, and I would agree with that point as well there, because you look at what went wrong on the reattempt for gaming in round 3. They had a roamer, but they weren't working together. They were falling into the trap that the attackers kind of saw there in round number 4, where they are pushing as individuals, and there isn't this, heightened level of, okay, I'm coming in, I'm going to trade you. Even if you die, even if this Vigil starts to pop off, we aren't going to allow him to take these 1vx engagements. And that's kind of, I think, what you should be focusing on here for Viral, if you try to raise that up. And it's a strength that Valor should continue to use and even abuse if that's something they spot again here from their opponent. Opening pick now for 2 rounds in a row starts to sort of strike back into the favor of Valor's, and that could be big for their momentum here in this game. Hard breach will be used, but again, Jimmy Buckets proves to be that obstacle in their way, and there isn't really much that they can do to clear this jammer off. Somebody has to get in and send a frag grenade over top, which could risk the possibility of Gingy having ADS coverage there inside dining as well. But I love the hot drop from Reaper. He does not delay, and that idea, that momentum, that swift reaction to drop down and to address the roam below is going to allow him to immediately snap back against one of the defenders. The Aruni caught it, but how is that fight lost there? No way should she have managed to even take one away down below, and she will definitely prop that one up with a bit of a wow. The comment is necessary, and this round has gone all sorts of ways as a shotgun appears suddenly at the corner.
Well, that ended quickly. Badger there, cleaning it up, and yeah, that gunfight down in the basement, Shu, well, he's got to be thanking his lucky stars right there. That was crazy. I think what happened was, well, first of all, I don't think Shu knew that they were there, right? They got stunned, they swung in the corner, they killed Zofia, and then they kind of fell back to reload, and from the way they were playing it, I think they had no idea that MX Reaper was just on the other side. And somehow, Shu turned faster than any Aruni has ever turned before and just burned the Jackal down. He said he only had 3 bullets, so maybe he just forgot to reload. And unfortunately, that's a good lesson. Always reload your guns, or if you can't reload your gun, it's always faster to swap to your prior or secondary than reload your gun. One zeitgeist bit of gaming advice that maintains its way across all platforms. But that was rough. Speaking of rough, Stick, this is rough. They're going down to basement. We never see anybody play basement here anymore. It used to be the site that, you know, everybody would go into in ranked, unranked, or whatever. Since the rework, nobody wants to touch this.
Yeah, I did see the basement played out. A lot of times what this site is, or I saw this site played in a recent game that I casted. It was a college match between Tulsa and North Texas, and the basement was played sort of as this trick site. I think kind of in the same position we're seeing it used here. This is supposed to be the capstone to give Valors that 4-2 edge. To surprise Viral with the site, they're probably not planning to attack here, and maybe that's going to be enough leverage. When I casted that collegiate game, it didn't work. The attackers, even though, yeah, they were surprised they didn't have the best composition to address it, there isn't really a super specific comp that you need to attack this site. Generally, you just need 1 or 2 hard breachers. The only problem that I could see posed here would be Badger with the Cade.
Sometimes you can just be a little too clever for your own good. Is how I'll put that. And I do wonder if you're right. And I mean, I think you're not far off. That it is supposed to be a little bit of like a trick site, right? That's meant to give them a little bit of pause. I just don't know if it's really worth it. It's just such a difficult site to defend. I think I saw it played once in the major stuff that I was watching. It was pretty rough that time. And it's not starting off particularly well here either. I mean, those sightlines onto that back door alone, and Stern already moving up to the first floor. I do appreciate that they do have defenders on the second floor here as well. That's a tight gunfight for Stern there, who does drop him with the SMG-11, then he hits him with the sledge. Oh, you absolute fiend! Just takes the hammer to him, a little slaughterhouse action for you there, and Storms is like, I heard the hammer. What happened? His teammate is dead, oh no.
Valors are definitely trying their hand at this away from the site concept. And so far, it hasn't really gotten them here. Imagine they had intel on the site now and what that would look like. They might just run in, go full barrel, full steam ahead. You can still see them kind of making this decision. They'll catch out one. There's only 2 remaining defenders here, and this could lead to a situation where Jimmy Buckets in one instant has got the entirety of the offense near on top of his position here at Drinks. Launches a nitro. He fails to detonate it for whatever reason. I suppose prioritize the reload, but will miss out on an opportunity that could have been such a pivotal kill. Shu will lose his life, and Jimmy Buckets is not far behind.
Well, they tried. You know, points for creativity, perhaps, but not points for victory right there, and that is unfortunate indeed, but they will swap over now. The 3-3 setup here. Valors had done an okay job, all things considered, on the defense. Viral, perhaps a little bit slowed down on the attack. I think they would have very much liked to walk away with a 4-2 there, but they did well enough as it was, and now they take over on the defense, so the momentum maybe be shifting just a little bit to Valor's favor, though. That being said, I mean, this has been a very even map so far. You kind of get the feeling, though, that this Viral side, say, is just waiting, right? Like, there's a beast waiting to be unleashed here. It's just a matter of whether or not it kind of pops out. And I do wonder, without kind of the ability to sort of set up, to anticipate gunfights, I do wonder how Valor's is going to do, because if you go back and look at a lot of those kills, I mean, I think a lot of them are just kind of predicated on holding angles, knowing where the enemy was going to come through. And I mean, mean, obviously you can do that on the attack, but it's not kind of the entire theme of attacking, right? You do have to be aggressive, and I wonder how that's going to play out here for Valors.
Yeah, so just as a quick conclusion there, don't play the basement. It seems like this oasis that's like luring you in. Oh, look at this, guys. Okay, we're gonna go down to the basement side. We're gonna play this roam, and we're gonna win the round, and this is gonna be huge. Doesn't work. Sorry.
No, it doesn't. Please pass that message on to everybody in my ladder games as well, because please, I don't want to be down there anymore. Please stop. I beg of you.
Yeah, no, this is, fortunately, sort of the situation. I get the decision, though, because it was either go try the basement or go back to gaming, and every time they tried gaming, they got slaughtered by Viral. So, you know, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. It's risky, and, you know, maybe they would have gone to gaming and probably would have lost the round again. But we're in the second half, and that's the storyline now. It's a moment for Valors to define their ability to take this game on their opponent's map selection. They start off a strong opener, sets the tempo as they strike on a Stern and they remove the Malusi. But Gingy gets a little bit ahead of himself, and he tries to push up down towards Ivy, and unfortunately he's going to lose his life.
Yeah, that will be that. And, I mean, it's even. It's a 4-4 here. Valor's probably going to miss the frag grenades, miss the Ionic clone just a little bit. But they still have tools to work with. I'm glad to see the Storms is actually bringing out this Rotero. He's so effective on this top floor in particular that you almost do yourself a disservice if you don't bring him in. And I mean, we're seeing a clear reason why you want him. The mute jammers, though, kind of causing some problems here, slowing him down just a little bit. And I think he's used 2 of those Roteros already, but he's still got 2 more in the pocket. He should not be aggressively pushing this, though. He's not a frontliner, especially when you still have more util to use. Maybe we'll just peel back here for a second and do a little bit of droning before he invests again. But all credit there to Ash is doing a really good job playing up in piano, just being an absolute nuisance, not giving them any room to come through. Shield is down now, though, Stick, and that's going to put pressure on him directly.
It will, and Ashes, from my experience, I guess we can talk about this now, definitely thrives in these positions where he's able to work together with his teammates to hold down an angle. Seems like it'll be Reaper who's sort of supporting him as well here. Rapid gets gunned down by Jimmy Buckets, but there's no castle on the piano window, so theoretically here you should just be able to push Ashes out if you go to the balcony. I guess that would be Highway. Charge forward from Badger. He's going to try to find the headshot. Eventually nets it. It's a body shot that takes down Ashes, already having been such low HP, so this round is, yeah, essentially over. And Jimmy Buckets will do the final work there. I think that round probably could have gone a little smoother for the offense there if they had just opened up that window. You don't even really need to peek it, to be honest, Tristan. You just shoot it open, and that's enough of a threat for the defense just not to position there, because if the Thermite lost that fight and Ashes is able to pick him off with the case behind the half wall, that round might have gone a little bit more drastically towards the defense's favor.
Yeah, I agree. I think there was a little bit of site prep issues there, maybe just a bit, or a little bit of site, I don't want to say unfamiliarity, because this is their map pick, but they had a defensive setup. I don't think they considered, you know, everything about it. I mean, you mentioned the lack of the castle. I think actually a castle would have availed them very well there as well. But alas, it was not to be. And we will go again here on this top floor site. Both these teams showing a little bit of a propensity to sort of run it back, and I never really know how to feel about that, Reese, because sometimes I feel like you are just kind of getting stuck, right? Like you're going at it again and again and again, and your opponents know what they're doing. That said, though, I mean, that was pretty close, right? It was a lot of ticky-tack back and forth trading, and you could maintain that clip again, and I think, as you said, you know, 1 or 2 small changes and you very easily win that round.
So I guess it does sort of make sense there in that regard then to repeat the site and try to fix some of those issues. Maybe that would have gone differently. The one thing here is that Stern is off the Malusi, and he'll bring in the Vigil, which of course you'll remember from the first half, Valors had huge successes in the, gosh, I say it was either a Dining or a Master round that they brought the Vigil, either one of those two. The Vigil was very problematic, and it's hard to pin him down, and the offense really didn't approach it in the most fantastic way either. Stern could look to maybe contest, stop the offense from coming in at the library, but he's doing so more from below, and he's joined here, and I don't think either of these two players have a nitro. Wow, suddenly the Vigil appears very close up. Stern gets gunned down, Ashes is lost, and the roam for Viral is looking even worse than it did last round.
Yeah, Viral really getting punched in the mouth here on the defense. I'm actually kind of surprised. This is sort of the opposite of what I thought would happen, right? They're taking gunfights. They're not doing a very good job of it. I mean, Stern kind of missed his window right there, no pun intended, in terms of getting the shot onto Gingy, and then proceeded to push it still. Like, didn't just fall back in that situation. And, you know, I'm all for aggressiveness or whatever, but you do have to wonder sometimes if it's, you know, better to just kind of give up the ghost, retreat, and reset. Rapid here does manage to pick up a kill, but still in a 4v3 situation. The Mute Jammer causing some serious problems here at the doorway, but that sightline is very clear indeed. Rapid stuck up behind the desk will fall back to Master. Gets clear from the window. Jimmy Buckets, they're playing on that angle, whips out the pistol, but it's Storms who actually gets the kill, and just a sudden explosion of violence there leaves Smithers as the last sort of defender standing. He's got a beautiful angle, but he can't confirm the kill onto Storms, and Shu will go ahead and get the plant down.
Not much that Smithers can do, unfortunately, at this point. It's going to be tough to even reach over to that more southerly approach to the site. Spots to Flores, but the recoil will overwhelm him a little bit there with the SMG-11. And again, it's Jimmy Buckets who drives that final death knell in from the window. Repel, as it's pretty formulaic there. The route to success, well understood from the Valor's offense, and they're in the lead now by 2 as they start to kind of strengthen their grip over Viral. Another round win off the back of this. Maybe barring gaming doesn't go so well for Viral on their defense, we could be staring down match point, at least guaranteeing overtime, which would be huge for Valors, who are really trying their hardest to get this victory.
You know, they look like he could do it, to be honest. I mean, that was a bit just... it was just a bit lackadaisical. I can never remember the right pronunciation for it, but it didn't look very good from Viral. I mean, leaving that window uncontested, the master bedroom window on the second floor, is just a recipe for disaster, because you cut the two sites in half. One good player with a gun there completely separates the two sites because you just can't get around, and it's not surprising at all that Jimmy Buckets managed to salvage some kills off of the back of that. And I mean, it also shut down Smithers to a certain extent. He really could not come out of his hidey hole to use the smoke grenades. It just was not particularly well done on the defensive side. It's a bit surprising to me. I mean, Viral is a really good team, but Valor's just really putting the boot in, giving them a run for their money here. And I don't think that's going to change here on this top site as well, or should they see this top site extension? Because you do have Storms with the drones, and I hate to belabor the point, but it does make it much easier to crack this particular site, because a lot of the defense on the top floor relies on Stern's ability to put out my disc, and he can't really do anything against the Red Terros with those. Neither can the ADSs, so his position up there is infinitely more vulnerable in this setup.
Definitely right there, and one little bit of comparison as well here. Viral have not lost a map. They haven't even been forced into an overtime situation so far. The one thing I'll say there have been a considerable number of forfeit games, so that does kind of affect the validity and what that result really means. But either way, the top competitors, I think one I'd definitely mention here would be Northern Shield. They didn't beat him. They didn't push him to overtime. And a lot of people talk about Northern Shield as probably the biggest threat to any team in the playoffs. So for Valors to be able to win here, that would be outstanding. And I think would really make them be feeling pretty good when they come into the postseason and they say, okay, we have to face Viral again. If we can beat them like we may have done before, that is a lot of extra confidence, and maybe could set ourselves up for a potential Valor's title run. It's a well-timed kill there, though, from Reaper. Gingy shut down. Viral need to try to find a way to capitalize off that opening pick. We saw how well they work with it in some of their offense rounds. Maybe they can bring that same gusto to the defense.
That's what I'm talking about, by the way, with those drones. I mean, they just annihilated the Fireplace Hall hold, but they managed to turn it into something more. Stern doing a very good job of holding on down here on the long angle, and his team's just picking up kills around him. Ash is still in position on the top deck of Fireplace Hall as well to continue to be kind of a pain. He doesn't have a shield anymore, but he is still obviously a gun. Badger there doing some droning, I think almost just making sure that the way is clear here. He'll swing out on this window and instead hold out from balcony, just waiting for somebody to step through. Ash is in a similar position here, trying to kind of finagle a way around where maybe they can get some shots out on the small window balcony there, but he won't find it. Badger does secure a kill, so turns it into a 3v4. It's a good sightline onto the shield, but the shield does remain inviolate at this point in time, and they've lost Storms here as well, Sticks, so they really gotta push this one straight down the gut.
Oh!
Oops.
Be careful there, Jimmy. Make sure you got your fireman suit on. But Shu just explodes, proving why that LMG is so effective. Don't even need to think about a reload. Spots the head, or perhaps he doesn't. There's able to isolate that. I was going to say, look at the case. It's in kind of a crappy spot, but the offense are just going to kind of push in and close this round down, win it off the back of the guns, and it's a sad tale. I mean, that round was looking so good for Viral from the start. They really fought Valors off from attacking that extension. But then, all of a sudden, Shu just decides that it's time to go huge. Maybe Viral should have tried to hold off on the top floor for a little bit longer and keep them at bay, because as soon as Blue fell, it felt like that was the door that swung open for Shu.
Where did he come from? Did he come from the top down from the library? Or
I honestly, I'm not sure. He might have came up blue. He might have dropped down blue.
Yeah,
it looks like he came up blue. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, that's very interesting, actually. Because we've seen that angle work now on two separate attacks on two separate teams of pushing up from the basement. It's like the Achilles heel of those defensive setups. If you don't have anyone adequately watching it, you get punished. And Shu did a really good job of kind of finding the gap, sticking the knife in, and twisting it around right there. Got the triple kill coming off of it. This is really very interesting. I think that's the most basement play I've seen, really, so far on a lot of the chalets that I've casted, but it's also the most effective. It's really been powerful. And, I mean, you look at your defensive setup here on the side of Viral, you're on match point. This is not going the way you thought it would go. Do you kind of watch that again? I mean, you do kind of have to, for lack of a better word, sacrifice a body, really, to make sure that nobody comes up from there. But it's been a complete pain, and they're already scouting it out. They have it well kind of defined that is very much a potential way for them to go.
I'm a little bit shocked that in that moment Viral would not opt to go for a tactical timeout to regroup, because now you're on match point and there's no going back. If you lose this round, it's not like we go into overtime or you get an extra one. No, the game would just be over, and then we're on to Cafe, where Valors opted to go in the first place. So maybe this was a bit of a chancy pick for Viral to decide to go to French Alps and the newest map in the pool. Viral have proven in some moments that they have a capability to explode, but oftentimes, and of course this is a first, no team has stepped to Viral in such a way to reach a match point against them. And the bodies just continue to drop for them. 4 versus 2, Rapid will try to hold on as he daisy chains 2 headshots. Smithers, his SAS comrade, waiting in the bar, and I think Smithers actually might have lagged out. Although that's not going to add to the ease of this round. Rapid just closed down upon by Shu, and it's Valors who win the game. And I think with that disconnect, I'm sorry, I don't think there's anything you can do there. I think that's just unfortunately the way it goes.
Even without the disconnect, I don't really know what more you could have done. I mean, Rapid was about a quarter of his health, right? Had done a good job, but how would he be able to repair from that situation? Really, realistically, even with the help of Smithers down in the basement, they would have had an absolute monster to climb right there. And a very, very solid performance there from Valors on the map pick of Viral. I mean, I'm actually kind of just surprised that Viral picked that. I would really be curious to see how that was supposed to go. Like, where was the thought process? They really kind of didn't look very comfortable on that Chalet map today. It very much looked like Valor's had complete measure of them, barring like those 2 early rounds, right, where we saw some good swing out there from Viral. They really got in with the shooty. The rest of it was just, it was not pretty.
No, it wasn't. That was a really surprising game, and even if we don't have a victory again for Valors as we go to their map pick, maybe Viral surge back, doesn't matter. The flawless streak, the flawless record has already been shattered just with that initial result already locked in, dialed in. But we do have that second map. It's Cafe that we have ahead of us, so we'll be back, though. We have a short intermission, though, as we get prepared and we allow the team some time to recuperate. You're watching the Canada Contenders League. We'll be right back. Hello everyone, we're glad to have you back here. We're getting into map number 2 of our first series today, and we just got done with the result I doubt anyone expected as Viral suffered their first defeat of the season. My name is Sticula. Joining me here will be Korvac for one more map before we get to the latter series of the evening.
Yeah, we will be hopping over to another Viral series that is VOD recorded, though, after this one. But first, we have Valor's map pick coming up in the best of 2 here. It will be Cafe. Viral did not really perform to the standard that we were expecting, and I do kind of wonder if they're a bit back-footed. They had a disconnect there at the end that couldn't have made them feel very happy either. They're really going to have to pull it together and kind of repair here on Cafe. It's a very standard map in that regard, Stick, so it should help them, right? You know, you go back to some familiarity, you kind of got a good idea of what you're supposed to do here. You go up to the top, you attack your way down, blah, 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 floor by floor. Everybody knows how it goes. Checklist is the same. And, you know, routine. Routine can be very helpful to maybe get people back in the groove here.
Yeah, one thing I'll point out here is from the offense point of view, I don't think Valor's had the greatest look when they attacked these sort of multi-tiered objectives. It was a little bit sloppy in some regards, and I think that could pose a problem on this second map of Cafe Dostoevsky, which is pretty much all about these multi-level attacks. When you're talking about reading in particular, you have to go upstairs, you have to clear out all of this area, and it really does not allow any time for lollygagging. You have to be going full steam ahead, and efficiency means a lot on that side in particular. Leaving things to the last second is not going to bode very well for you, and I could see that easily getting out of control here as we get into the second map. Perhaps there still is an opportunity for Viral to at least stave off their opponents and move up to 13-1 unless they have that 2 lost Tardish come through and the map doesn't go their way.
I don't know. It is possible. I mean, we saw Viral struggle with some of those vertical attacks as well, but it looks like the game's started, so we can go ahead and transition in and get a look at the bans here as we return once more to Cafe. You're never quite able to escape Cafe these days. I tell you what, it's never far from us, as it were. But Viral with the first pick here. You don't necessarily actually need to ban Thatcher on this map, though a lot of teams will still jump in on the Thatcher ban. I think this is one of the ones where you can get a bit of a pass. Hibana ban makes a lot of sense. She's a queen of top hatches. She's also probably, I would argue, the strongest hard breacher in the pool right now, all things considered, especially since they took smokes away from Ace. So you definitely want to try and remove her from play. It's no surprise she's gone on both of these maps.
Not in particular, and that point that I mentioned about Valor's being a little bit lackluster on their multi-tiered approach will become very evident if it does indeed carry forward to this second map, because they begin on the offense. They do not have that defensive buffer up first, and as well that could potentially allow maybe Viral to kind of springboard off here on the map. Maybe their start goes a little bit better than it did on that earlier map where it was 3-3 on Chalet. Maybe things look different. The Thatcher does not manage to escape. He gets locked down here in the veto. Valkyrie taken off as well. So I'd say pretty standard so far. Nothing crazy going on. This last ban from Viral, probably going to be something like maybe the Mira, though I wonder if there could be room for maybe the Vigil. Nope, we won't. We will not have the Vigil ban. Instead, it's Mira who's removed as we get back to normality, and nothing goes completely awry here in the ban stage.
The exact same bands from Chalet, too, actually. Just a slightly different order. The Thatcher and the Hibana are reversed, but otherwise everything is exactly the same as it was. Those same 4 operators removed from the pool, and I mean, like you said, no surprises. It's a very standard ban phase. Now, the thing to watch out for here on the Valor's attacks, they do bring the Flores. We don't see Virals really engage with the Flores on their attacking side, and that was definitely a bit of a differentiating factor over on Chalet. Valet. It's also going to make MX Reaper's life a little bit harder with those Goyos, the Volcans, just not as effective when Flores is out there. Bringing the Kaid here is not a bad choice at all on kitchen service, kitchen cooking. He actually has a pretty significant amount of value on this site. You see the potential 6-pick off the Goyo, but they'll choose to stick with it. I almost feel like maybe this is an attacking lineup that was thinking more of a higher floor hold, because they are lacking actually kind of what I would call some of the basic pieces of an attack for this kitchen site. They don't have a buck or a sledge.
Yeah, you're right on the money there, and is additionally only one set of breaching charges from Shu, so your options are going to be real limited when you try to attack from up above. Maybe that gives Viral enough credence to win this one out. The Flores, I suppose, could maybe substitute in a little bit. And the reason I would say that is because the Flores drones have not been very successful. They weren't at all really on Chalet because the mute was always there in the way. It felt like we really didn't have any of the Flores drones even detonate from what I remember, just because every time there was the shield, there was this piece of bulletproof utility, a mute jammer was set out to try to protect them.
He got it. He did get a couple, if I remember correctly. But I wouldn't say it was like game-changingly impactful. It was just more of a nuisance, really. But obviously, if you're using the Roteros to blow holes in the floor, that's just annoying. Like, just bring a sledge at that point in time. And I do kind of wonder why they set up this way. Like, I am genuinely confused why the attackers didn't bring either of kind of like the soft breach, real good soft breach operators. I was going to say hard soft breach operators, but a little bit confusing right there, all things considered. They're still indicating that they want a top floor, kind of take. I was thinking for a second that maybe we were looking at kind of a straight rush as Reaper does secure a kill, but Jimmy Buckets is there on the top deck to take it down. No real contest here on the third floor, so they're more than happy to take it. Stern, though, does come up there. He slips up red stairs, and suddenly he's feasting, trying to get some more kills, but he won't quite find it. Badger does shut him down. It was a very well done little bit of flank attack, though, from Stern initially.
That was surprising. I mean, that one just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it completely blindsides Valors. They tried to get in too quickly. I think the idea was there. They saw Reaper start to come up the brown stairs, and then they were like, okay, I see this kill. I'm jumping down. I'm going to try to get this frag, but it really didn't work. I'm not sure what happened with the hatch. It's like, oh, it was that a secondary breaching tool? I'm not sure what even's going on there. Maybe the Selmo got jammed for a moment and then they had to shoot it or something. There's a little bit of a lull there that was confusing either way. 2 versus 3 with Gingy on low health here, Tristan. Do you see this one going through?
No, I don't think so. Valors is in a very difficult position to make this work. The defenders are very much ensconced here. You don't have the vertical opening to really pressure them out of these defensive positions either. And I mean, if you try and take it horizontally, you're pushing into a bit of a difficult beast. So they are going to try and take it horizontally. You see the body right there. They're going to try and cover the freezer entrance from the top hatch. I just don't know if it's going to work. Badger does manage to secure one right there. Ashes will go down, and maybe they will make something out of this. But no, Gingy is down. Badger gets taken out as well. I don't think that's anything else. The freezer very much became a killing zone for them right there, and there wasn't a whole lot they could do about it.
Well, there might have been more they could have done about it if they had brought, maybe a sledge? Maybe?
Yeah, maybe. maybe if you bought one of those operators who are really good at punching holes through floors so you could shoot down at them, that might have helped. But, we're speculating. We're spitballing here. We're operating kind of
I guess.
Yeah, hindsight is very much 2020.
Well, that'll be something Valor's immediately rectified by bringing the buck. However, Kitchen's locked out by the defense, so maybe they think this was going to reading. The only option, or the only use really for buck, I guess you could say there's two with the Habana ban in play. That second option would be for the Maverick trick. Sometimes you need to bring a buck to get rid of that soft wall on the follow-through. Yeah. But the other option for the buck would be to go below inside reading and use that to create vertical in sort of that opposite way where you're pushing the defenders out from below rather than the more standard top-down approach. And I would be really glad to see that, because it's not an attack that I've really been able to see. It was popular about 5 or 6 months ago, but it's since seen kind of a fall off. It's largely to do, I think, with where the meta is at right now, because we're back towards more sort of a deathmatch sort of meta, which is closer to kind of the intel denial sort of siege, less like that full utility burn where you couldn't really afford to bring a buck right in that meta, because you had to have a Zofia and an Ashe, or Zofia and a Sledge in every composition, because there was always a shield, always a Banshee, or something that needed to get broken. But maybe Shu is not going to do either of those at all, because Maverick is gone, and Valor's, I don't know if they're really forming up for a below take as of yet.
It doesn't really look like it, but I just wanted to say I agree with your points entirely. It's one of the most effective ways of kind of using a buck on this map is to try and get that vertical pressure up, and a lot of teams just don't expect it either. You're so focused kind of on the horizontal and the top on this particular site, and Smithers was focused on Gingy very much right there. So Gingy is down. You lose your totally blanked right there. Lose your Yana clones, and you lose your frag grenades. Very unfortunate indeed. But you still have tools to play with. You're not getting a lot of value out of Flores right now either. You haven't really had much of an opportunity to even get your air jabs down. And yes, Gemini, that is it. I had totally blanked. I was gonna say something like a Zodiac sign, like Taurus or something, but I was like, no. It's one of the other ones. It's not Aquarius either. I'll figure it out in a second, but yeah, Gemini, as it were. Makes perfect sense. Twins, all that. But Brain just not making the connections today. Does happen to the best of us. Ooh, hello.
Ooh. Looks like Rapid just managed to dodge out of the way. I guess he had one AirPod out at least there for the Aruni.
Yeah.
Able to hear the beeping come through from the Rotero drone and dive for cover in the moment. Curious where Shu is at, what he's managed to do so far. Looks like he's opened up a couple of walls there, the soft wall there in particular, just inside of the area known as Hut. Gives you a deep angle there that you can watch into the back of Freezer, but not quite deep enough to where you would be able to cut off the rotate, I believe. But if if Viral have to jump out of the bathroom and they have to use that as an escape route, there could be maybe an option for Shu to pick off a frag there. Defense advantage with 45 seconds, and I believe the wall of Freezer not open does raise a couple alarms, but it's soft, so somebody, maybe the Buck, for example, could come in to try to open that up. Either way, Valor should be able to strike back for one. They get Rapid, Skirn's been down, but hello, I mean, there's just sort of general chaos all over inside of Cigar, and Valors are kind of searching for anything of a response. They have to work together. Shu picks off Ashes as they step into the 3 versus 2, but Reaper now struggling to pick together that kill out on the new balcony as, well, looky there. The off starting to charge in. 2 players down. Now just make it only Jimmy Buckets that's left. He's got to chase down Reaper. Finally, the confirm comes in. The case recovered, but Jimmy does not have enough time left to get back in the site.
What was that? That round was anarchy. That was just...
that was even past that. I mean,
I'm trying to... I was like watching it, I nearly said, like, Reese, what's going on? Like, what are they doing? There was so much weird stuff. First of all, the attack was not very good. I don't really know what they were going for right there, but they were kind of just spread out in a line along the horizontal side, trying to push in. God, that was strange. On so many levels, that was really weird. I felt like that really could have been anybody's round, to be honest. Like, Viral was kind of in a position where they looked like they were going to lose it for a second there, and then Valor's just got really overconfident. I think Storms was the one who just straight up ran in and got gunned down by a pistol in the hands of Reaper. He was just way too eager to get into the fight, and he got punished for it. Really would have benefited Valors, I think, to put a little bit of pressure on the cocktail side. Just one guy over there on a rappel, just to have, that threat in the region, because there's no pinch, right? And I mean, it actually worked out really well for Virals and for for Smithers and for Reaper, and the fact that they could just kind of fall back ad nauseum all the way to the other side of the map, completely threat-free, and then try and fight their way back from there.
Well, I mean, Valors at least sort of knew about that. They sent Gingy over, but Gingy got destroyed by Smithers. So, Maybe it would have made sense for Valors to rotate somebody. Either way, it's not anything you can change. Now, this is really unusual to see both the objectives just completely absent of any defenders. It's like everyone, literally the whole squad, has been sent up above. Yeah, it's quite strange. You don't see that terribly too often, but I guess it does kind of give us the picture of Viral's defense is going to be entirely dug in on this top floor. Very entrenched.
Very entrenched. I mean, they're investing shields, they're investing kind of reinforcements, they're punching their shots through the walls. They really put a pretty significant amount of resources up there, and if you go and look at what's here, I mean, really not that much. Not that you need to invest a lot in trains, it's kind of its own defensive site in a lot of ways, right? It's very difficult to get through, but, I mean, look at this angle that Jimmy's got. He's pretty much uncontested pushing up into this position, and that's a deadly spot to be in. Hopefully, Gingy not going to get their head taken off early this time. Maybe we'll be able to contribute a little bit more to the team. But certainly, if they're going to try and take this top floor, they've got their work cut out for them here.
Yeah, I think on initial review, if Valors knew how much was upstairs at the end of the prep phase, they might have even considered like a snow door rush and just flew into the site as sort of a means to try to just completely bypass all of this extension. And one thing you see there from the bulletproof camera, there's not much vertical that's been opened up above reading as well, which I think would have backed into that. And you can see kind of the other side of the coin when you try to directly acknowledge this upstairs hold, and there's a couple of complications that go down on the second floor as well. It doesn't really go too well. Ash just gets found out there. Reaper is still kind of lurking around upstairs. He doesn't have much support from his teammates, so this one, I mean, what?
Whoa! Hello?
Okay.
Ooh. You hate to see it. I mean, you love to see it at the same time. That was crazy. Who was that got that? Was that Smithers again?
Yeah, it was.
More Smithereens, man. He's just blowing everybody up out here tonight. Good Lord in Almighty. That is unfortunate. Very unfortunate there for Valors. And yeah, like you said, I mean, you kind of saw the danger there of the horizontal push too. I mean, it doesn't always work out. And I did mention that train sort of mining can be a very difficult site to push through in its own right. And well, it was Smithers down there who illustrated that perfectly, clearing up those kills on the SMG-11 and then picking up the 2 with the C4. I mean, just an absolute nuisance. And, you know, obviously I don't think this was the intent, but they actually did a pretty good job on the side of Viral of kind of, you know, doing some Sun Tzu-esque looking weak where they were strong by filtering Valors into that particular site and allowing them to be cleaned up. It was really interesting. That was actually quite an interesting round, but a very solid one for Viral right there. They did not appear fussed at all. I would say of all the rounds we've seen them play, that was one of the ones where they felt the most confident, kind of collected.
Well, Valors have gotten the memo now. They realize what the rotation is. It's kitchen bar reading, and of course now as the third round is picked up by Virals and they close out the rotation, they have to go back to where it all started. And thankfully, Valors realize now that they're going to the first floor, and it would be beneficial to bring the sledge, so that way, you know, we don't have another repeat situation where there's just defenders all over the place inside the site. You at least limit some of the angles. That way, you know, okay, maybe there's going to be somebody that's hiding in bunker, probably somebody, you know, in rice or outside in coat check. At least try to limit some angles. That way you don't just have defenders sitting wherever they may place.
Yeah, it's just so essential for this point because it is so hard to push in just straight horizontally. You gotta get holes open in the floor, and they've done a much better job. This is a much more sort of stereotypical attack here in terms of their setup, but I mean they're running into some, you know, defensive holdouts on the top deck as well. The Maverick going to work down here on the bakery door already, not surprising at all to see him doing that. He's got to be a bit careful though because he's got a lot of defensive bodies here just waiting for the right opportunity. I mean, look at this angle from Stern right here. You got Rapid there as well, so both of them very capable of ruining the Mavericks' day if they so chose, and they're already kind of backing up here to maybe get a different angle, just make sure nobody's going to pressure downstairs. Ashes is still here as well, and you're really just waiting Well, there's Badger down, so the Maverick will be gone. Eventually did get caught out by Stern, just like I said, but you're still waiting for Storms to really get into position here to help you out by opening up some of those, more of those holes.
Definitely need somebody to come in for the assist, and I don't know if they managed to... No, they did not get the Maverick trick finished, so this could be quite brutal for the defense. But one thing you don't want to do is go run into kitchen prep and give away the frag and give away your advantage. You can see the rotate comes from Valors as they realize that the bakery take is not going to happen. They have to reassess their options. It'll look like maybe instead a push coming in from maybe reception and restaurant to try and find an area that's a little bit more accessible. They did leave an attacker still over there inside the bakery to kind of see if maybe Viral realizes rotation is hit, but get too confident when they move back into bakery and try to assume that position. Either way, now you'll lose Storms. No more frag grenades from him, and Gingy's already used both of Iana's, but still has the gun, which is a nice consolation there to find the pick, but she won't live long enough to see the result of it. Reaper runs right through, but hits the head, rips it clean off Shu's shoulders. 1 versus 3 for Mr. Buckets to see if he can score a 3-pointer against the 3 last defenders. I'm not sure if I really see it happening, honestly, in red time with only 5 seconds to go. Spots a defender lying prone. A Surya Gate will eliminate any chance that he had of this clutch.
What? This was Valor's map pick, right? Or was this... Yeah, this was Valor's map. No. Was Viral Chalet's? This is crazy. This is crazy that they're getting worked this hard on this map. And it's not just that they're losing gunfights. I mean, they don't even look like they really know what they're doing on some of these attacks. That was not good. Like, that was just a plain, plumb, bad attack. Like, you know, you got your Maverick working, but you're not making any effort on... You're not really able to clear the verticals, so you can't get your sledge in position above to kind of, like, knock some holes on the floor and make it a little bit harder for defenders to set up those kind of shots to kill your Maverick. It just... Oh, man, that was just ugly. That was just ugly. The one thing I do want to mention there, I think it got missed, but I really appreciate it, was Reaper's little alibi up at the top on the traditional murder hole into... Yeah, in the traditional murder hole leading into prep. I thought that was really clever, actually, because it immediately got tapped by Gingy, and it just gave away the position right away. It was actually a really good use of the alibi kit. I just figured I'd mention it, because I thought it was a nice, clever little trick. But they're bringing a Lion now. I don't actually know if they really necessarily need to do that. I guess you're using him for intel, but I mean, there's not been... It's not like Viral has had a ton of roam. They've had like one person maybe, and this isn't a particularly massive roam site either, so I guess you're just trying to use it for pure intel on the defender's locations, but it's so easy to counteract that, Reese. I just... man, I can't believe this was their map pick. I'm actually, like, surprised.
Yeah, this has been kind of just one of those days where one map goes to the opponent, even though it was their pick. And the thing I'll say is, I think what does play into that is it's not like you're seeing, you know, Pro League Team A versus Pro League Team B, where either one of them has, like, really put a lot of practice into their map pick and is, you know, decided, okay, we're gonna come here. I just don't see that being either of these two teams. You've got Ashes, who's subbing in for Viral, and the general memo that I get from their team is not one of a team that's really, you know, constantly practicing and scrimming. I think they just pick a map they're probably, you know, looking comfortable on, or they feel is going to go well. Maybe a couple of scrims at least that, you know, lead them into this decision. Okay, we're comfortable on Chalet, but the Valor show up and they're like, no, not so much. We're the better Chalet team. And honestly, there was a bunch of things that went wrong. That's a nice little tap find from Reaper out to the ticket window, but yeah, I think that does play in. The fact that Viral have a sub and Valors are playing to have a little bit of fun.
Yeah, You might be onto something there. They actually save a Volcon for that. That's pretty funny. They'll just pop out and set another one up. I've not actually seen a team do that in a really long time, but they had the opening to do it because Reaper did get a beautiful headshot there, even though he was blinded by the flash. And, 1 minute and 30-ish seconds left on the clock here. Valor's is still trying to make their presence known. They are down a man. Storms is taking the lead position here. Has not used a single Lion ping in this entire setup. Pulls out the Gon 6 and whips that out as well. Still holding on to the drone pings. Genji trying to set up on a different angle now, but it's Shu who's taken the lion's share of the damage right there. Pun absolutely intended. And Shu is on the lower deck with the LMG, so maybe he can make something happen from down here. He's going to try and wend his way back up to White Stairs, but currently just blasting some holes in the floors. The first Lion ping does come out, but I don't think they got anything off of it. Storm's swinging in the corridor. Beautiful shot to Rapid. Rapid, I think, was caught looking there. Absolutely. He'll go ahead and get another one with the hit. And all of a sudden, whoa! Valors comes alive. Electrified right there on the attack on the top floor. That was strange, wild, spectacular. They shut it down, Stick. That was really good.
Oh, I love that hip fire kill there from the Lion. He just is sort of shooting to shoot, and finally Valors went around. It's a pretty big turning point for them. It's the attack, so hey, it's not the hugest loss. If Valors can get another round here, and that helps them to find 4 moving into the second half, but still, Viral are such a good team across both halves. You don't get 12 wins in season being only able to play successfully on the defense. And here's a question. On Chalet, do you think they played better when they were on the defense, or was there their attack that really carried them in some of those rounds?
Viral in particular, yeah. I don't know, actually. It's a really good question. I thought that they were going to do better on the defense, but I think they actually were slightly disappointing on the defense. This time, on the defense, they've done a lot better, but I think it was maybe just something about Chalet. They were trying to be really aggressive, I think, at a couple of points in times on that Chalet map when they were on the defense, and they just got wholly punished for it by Valors, who really looked, I think, far more confident on the attack there than they did on the defense, right? And I think that was definitely an important factor. I think that Viral, whether we could categorize them as a defensive team, I don't know, but certainly on this Cafe map, they know their defense. They're playing it very well here. This is very solidly done.
Attackers must locate and defuse a bomb.
Well, we'll see if it's the hip-firing Lion of Storms that comes to the rescue again here in this final round of the first half of our second map in our first game. That's a mouthful, but here we are on Cafe in round number 6. Top floor hold. Last time we were here, you'll remember that Valors lost the opening pick when Gingy tried to play from, or at least in the context of the round 2 bar defense, which was, I think, the one I'll bring up here because it was a little bit more Viral looking good. I think there's a couple of mistakes there in that defense that opened up a couple of options for Valors because they exploded. I mean, they played very aggressive in the moment, and Viral, sometimes that can happen when you yourself are a little bit too confident in your positioning, I guess you could say. So make sure you've got the window repels locked down, because Valors won that round in a much different way than your typical attacking victory on Bar and Cocktail would go, I'd say.
Yeah, 100%. They just kind of rushed that one in and got the kills, right? It's not always going to work out that way. Already the shield here on Pixel is taken down, so that's a bit of a slowdown there, but not anything I think that's so kind of debilitating that they won't be able to bounce back from it. Valors is in that general area trying to push. Stern is on the low ground here, I think, waiting to see if anybody tries maybe to come in through the Cocktail kind of small window up there and get something off. A Badger with a beautiful tippy tap onto Reaper, sort of returning the favor for last round, doing a really good job there of taking that defender out right away. And that is going to put some pressure on here, though they obviously have room to fall back. So they're still with a decent hold angle down towards Piano, as Ashes is taking a low ground position here and trying to fire up. He pulls off at the wrong second. Fortunately for Badgers, absolutely no visibility on that whatsoever, and it will now be a 3-3 here as Stearns chimes in and takes down Storm, but pays with it for their life. Rapid getting one in there, now Shu getting another one, and they are just flying through these kills.
Definitely so. Trying to explode, trying to fight their way through, but look at Rapid, he just gives up the ghost. Trying to escape. Oh, they have the case, that's huge! Valors, it doesn't matter that they are in the site, and they have full control of it. If we could just see the defense sort of waste out these last 20 seconds. Definitely unusual to see some vertical play here inside the cigar lounge. When it's a bar defense, the case has been recovered. There's 10 seconds. No defenders at the ready from inside the objective. Shu will try to run forward. He's going to go for a trash plant. He bails off. He repositions. Rapid coming up from red. Ashes still below. No impacts for Ashes to use to deny this plant, and so it'll go down successfully. Ashes, though, he picks off Jimmy as he comes up through. Shu thinking about the hatch drop, but instead makes the decision to play for the challenge, and they'll win it. Valors, that one came awfully close, but handing the victory there will be that LMGE, and 2 rounds, they do finally get that tiniest bit of margin there at the end of the half.
Yeah, they do, and they'll be happy with that little bit of a comfort zone that they managed to pick up. It could have been a lot worse, I think, but I don't know who made the call there for Shu to shift in that last second to plant the bomb in a different spot, but that actually turned out to be a hugely valuable call, because when you saw the swing around the corner there on the top deck from the Jaeger, they shot at exactly that spot that he had been previously, so that shift of about 6 feet over to the right, or whatever it was, absolutely saved his life. It was really well done and actually quite clever, and then a good bit of play as well to just kind of fall back and wait to collect the kill. That LMGE has just become such a force here, Stick. I mean, it really is a super strong gun, and they are, I believe, kind of upping Sophia's assault rifle just a little bit, if I remember correctly, but I just don't know that it's going to ever be able to replace the LMGE in its current state. It's almost too good not to take at this point in time.
It definitely has been a bit of a curious change. I am interested to see how close the recoil comes back to where it was previously, if it's sort of like a middling option, or if maybe it's just a little bit less, like closer maybe to Jaeger territory, because that M762 is just, it kicks. It's practically unusable. Like, even if you're only using a 1x optic, that thing is just not worth the trouble that it's going to bring you compared to the LMG, which has decent recoil. The rate of fire, I think, leaves a little bit wanting, but the fact that you can just pre-fire for 150 rounds... Siege is all about pre-fire in the deathmatch meta, especially when it's going to swing or be swung. So the fact that you can just hold down the trigger, I mean, you could have the entirety of the defense come chasing after you, but just so long as you've got that trigger pulled and your gun sight is trained on the door, you're probably going to win at least most of the fights. I don't know what happened to Storms there, but...
he's having a no-good, very bad day down there. I think he was trying to see maybe if he could get a run out or something out of White, like the garage, and he just got lit up. And then he fell up to the top floor, and I don't actually know who shot him when he was up on the second floor, but he obviously got his wings clipped a little bit right there. I kind of feel his pain. He does get revived, though, so he'll stay in. That could have been worse, right, if he'd actually just been straight up killed. Smithers took a little bit of chip damage in that as well, so sitting about half health. Getting a lot of value out of the Gemini right here, though. Just plenty of scouting to be done. They've got a very clear idea of what's what down there. Smithers prepares to drop in red. Ashes has already started.
Well, we're here in the second half, and Stern's got a plan, and he's got a nade to make it happen. Sends it through. It'll detonate. No defender waiting behind it, as I'm sure the pin was heard as it clattered to the ground, and so the reaction is made to dodge out of the way in the meanwhile. But the time here, honestly, is fairly low for Pixel still not to have been cleared. Finally, a drone will be sent through this time. No mute jammer to stop it from detonating, as that had been looked over in Valors' composition. And a great nade there into heaven. Shu, fortunately, did not bring his flak jacket to round number 7 and not survive that endeavor. Gives Viral a tiny amount of purchase now that they've got that pick. Could be enough to work with. That being said, though, the bathroom and Pixel and Whitehall by extension is still going to be a problem they'll need to fight through. But Storms, he gets too aggressive, and I have to critique that play because you need to work together and try to leverage the time that you've got here. Another pickle clattered to the ground as it's Gingy who gets taken down. Gas launched out, but all of a sudden, Jimmy Buckets doesn't have any teammates left, and even he's gone there. As Viral will stop that mini streak of rounds built up there by Valors and bring their lead back to 5-2.
Just got shredded right there, did Valors. They were taking a lot of those fights on the swings, doing a lot of peeking. And Viral was just more than happy to turn that into a shooting gallery on that side of the map. There was no hesitation in there at all. I also think that Reaper coming out on the Flores, which is, I think, the first time that we've seen Viral run Flores, in between these two maps, totally caught him off guard. You said it yourself, there was no mute there for the pixel shield. They just were able to send that drone right in. It also made some of the other players a little bit uncomfortable as well, because I think that's why Jimmy Buckets originally peeled off over to Deep Freezer, was because the drone was coming in and kind of trying to force him out of that spot. It just was, that was very much on Valor's, I think, trying to take some fights that were very hard for them to win. And Viral's clearly filling their guns right now. Like, they're clearly warmed up. You just got to be really careful about taking those peaky engagements.
Yeah, and I think Valor's learned that lesson pretty good there in round number 8, or rather 7, as they kept peeking, and it didn't work. And I imagine Jimmy Buckets, maybe he would have fared better if he had more teammates that were still alive, that instead of peeking, decided to hold angles and wait for the defense, which I wait for the offense. I guess does go against my my feedback of, it's swing or be swung. You kind of have to peek. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go out of your position to fight, the opponents. Maybe there was a failure of intel, I think you could say. They weren't aware, where everybody was inside of the bar or inside a cigar lounge, but it is a little bit of a frustrating one because it puts Viral one step closer towards match point, and we will march on towards that possible scenario now as Ashes picks off Shu.
I mean, you missed the gun of Shu, but I think out of most of these operators, right, Mozzie is one of the more ones that, well, you can sort of afford to give him up. I mean, he doesn't have access to his drones. Gingy probably was the most expendable once his ADSs are down, but he's dead now as well, and you're in a 3v5 already. This is a very bad situation for Valors to start this off on. A little bit of feet peek in there come out from Jimmy Buckets, but to no real avail. And look at the kind of swarm that's coming in on this right-hand side, just straight up pushing up. Storms is in a position where he could be an issue, but I mean, he's gonna have to kill 2 here to make this stick, and it's never the easiest thing. Actually make it more like 3. Some shots exchanged right there, and he'll immediately fall back in the entry hallway. The pressure's still coming on. It's Reaper who's getting very aggressive right there. Still has 3 drones left, so I'm surprised he's taking it, but he gets Jimmy Buckets, who swung in to try and get him on the counter angle. Oh my lord! Reaper on an absolute sliver of hell, still alive, still shooting it. He'll get Storms as well.
Replicating.
This has just gotten out of control at the moment. No Badger manages to find Stern. Ashes will seal the deal at 6-2 here on Cafe Dostoevsky, as Viral have shuttered the memory of the first map and have stepped into a new form here on this one, and now are just one map away from completely closing this one out. That won't be all. Should Viral win this map, of course, we have their double-header-esque scenario with them playing that Week 3 VOD match coming up after this one. Now that Valors realize the scenario that they're in, it's 2-6. Corback, what would be the change here that you would suggest to them as they repeat onto Kitchen and Service? What can be changed to try to at least hold back on this one?
You tell me, you're the coach. I don't know. I think they need to put a little bit more, in that particular scenario, I think they were missing maybe a little bit more vertical presence, just somebody who could have kind of come down the stairs and maybe put the pressure on just a little bit. I mean, it's also was a little bit of gunplay too. Storms in particular, I think, had the opportunity to secure at least 1 kill right there, just couldn't hit the shots. MX Reaper pushes up, causes all those problems. He doesn't get brought down either, but I mean, they gave up a lot of space right there, I think, for relatively free, right? And Viral was more than happy to take said space and just run with it. I feel like you need to try and block that out a little bit better. And having the threat of somebody coming down behind them at all times, is just too valuable to pass up, and I really think they neglected that in the last round.
Locate and defuse a bomb.
Hopefully the neglect does not carry to this next round, because if it does, then
maybe it was
this
supposed
game
to be
is
Shu. Like Shu, who died early on, maybe he was supposed to be the guy who was in the position to drop down like that. It is the Mozzie, but I don't know what it was. It just Valor's has not looked good on this map at all. Like this is completely different from their Chalet run. It's actually shocking how different it looks, to be honest.
And maybe it's the team play that's really absent here, because you think a lot of their roams on Chalet, it was really their ability to coordinate and work together that stifled Viral. We have Storms, he's back on the Vigil. He was really huge when he played on this op, but he's just not having a great game. You know, Shu is a pretty big multi-kill player on that first map. Oh, Shu nearly getting overwhelmed, chased down by the sledge. The Nitro actually shot out by one of these Red Stairs players. Shu is not really eager to give up the position, but he might be forced into it now. A drone will come down, and Shu decides that it's a better decision to try to give this up. Genji with a nice little find there, though, against Reaper. That's the top player and the only individual in this lobby to have reached double-digit kills.
That was actually a really good little bit of bait and switch right there on those Red Stairs when you think about it, Reese, because they had him drop kind of back down the Mozzie, and then they definitely baited out the drone there from Storms to let them know that, oh, Vigil is right here. And you saw when they dropped through the hatch, I don't think they were anticipating that they were going to get hit by the Mozzie at all. Unfortunately, they just couldn't confirm the kill, but it did ultimately manifest in Reaper getting taken down. Smithers there pumping some shots through the wall. Smithers is the other big threat on the field that if they could eliminate him early on, I think they're smooth sailing. They might actually be able to pull this round out, but their two roamers are on very low health right now, and Stern is in the position where he can start doing exactly that, punching holes in the floor, giving them the vertical angles, just forcing the defenders to move around, to play nervous this entire time, and they need their roamers to come back on that immediately.
Time is starting to run out. Viral have to begin to assess the options, and it does bring me back in a little bit of deja vu. The first round in the game was on Kitchen, and it was a drop of full pressure into Freezer, and I believe it was even in the same man disadvantage, which will now widen as Badger continues to find these tiny openings that he's able to use to really ostracize Viral. Oh, the Gone 6 does not clear the shield at VIP. Jimmy Buckets can make sure that this offense, their play to push in, is truncated, and it's not going to be successful. Rapid can't get over the counter. So Valors will do it on low time, and it shows that you have to be so careful with how you manage it on the Kitchen attack.
Oh, even if time hadn't been a factor, they would have been in a bit of a difficult situation, I think, to go ahead and get that one down, but it was a good win from Valors. Their roamers really doing what we were talking about, just playing together, being smart on that top floor, really causing problems there for Viral on their initial push in. It was one of the more solid rounds, I think, ultimately in the end that we've seen from Valors. Warden here from Storms. I do wonder if that'll be 6 picked out of. Kind of have the feeling it will be. No! They'll stick with it, actually, on Bar Cocktails. So, very different defensive operator setup here on Match Point. A Pulse coming out, a Warden coming out. Don't necessarily know what to make of that. They also, I mean, they still have the Wamai, they still have the Jaeger, so they got the double whammy, they got the ADS. You can still play Pixel, but a very different setup indeed.
Another decent note about that round, it actually interrupts the streak that had been put together by Viral, and a nice little start on the second half with 2 wins that put them up to match point. Could be time for maybe Valors to start to figure out the recipe here to this second half game. But is it the Warden and the Pulse? I'm not entirely sure, to be frank.
You're not convinced this isn't it? This isn't the money?
No, but the one thing that I can say is Pulse can be very successful inside of train and mining, just because you don't allow the offense to really come inside of Cigar and into Piano. maybe that could be enough to give them a bit of a larger advantage. But I'm gonna more so wait and see, rather than, deciding that the Pulse is gonna sort of be that deciding factor, that he's gonna be the one to do it all.
Yeah, I mean, he does need protection, though, if he's going to run that, right? Like, you do need to be very careful about him getting picked off, and you can see, too, to a certain extent here, that Viral is being very cautious about how they want to go about this. They're very much aware of the presence of this Pulse, and they will take that into consideration. It looks almost like they're going for a kind of a more bottom-up style attack, where they'll come in here and try and take some of these horizontal fights just a little bit more, and you can see the two roamers there for Valors. They are in a position where they could engage on the second floor, but you've got multiple Viral bodies here just trying to figure out the best way to go about this and kind of pick this lock. If they lose Storms and they lose Pulse, their defense is in trouble, and that's the way it starts there. Storms just gets ripped primarily through the wall there by Ashes.
Yeah, and he had missed the window to see Ashes. Of course, we've got the highlights through, but it was just barely. It was like a millisecond that you would have been able to see Ashes, though the trade comes in. So you do make sure that is not, this situation that snowballs, because you think about what the impact could be if that were to be the case. Still have yet to entirely clear out this presence below, but with the picks of Storms and Badger to back it, without really much that can be sent down here to help out Chiu, and now missing crucial shots as the sledge will be forced to back up and to escape there out of mining. Gingy waiting, gonna try to make a huge play, guns down the sledge. Rapid able to fight back for one there in the close cart corner, 2 versus 2. There's a minute left. Viral really do not need to rush this, but they're going to try to overwhelm Jimmy, who's forced out of position and will bring the shotgun, will bring the M590 into the equation. Shu waiting below to see if maybe his nitro will be enough. Cardiac sensor out for one more time. Going to try to jump up onto the countertop. Nitro detonates, but it misses Smithers. Only gets a tiny amount, and Viral are on match point. If Shu can't fight his way through these last two opponents, this could be it all done for. But he does collect onto the planter, though not enough to deny the plans in due time. 1 versus 1. He has the intel. Clear idea. The position is known onto Reaper from inside the bar. He's gonna move forward. Oh, but he gets spotted out by the drone. So now the intel is favoring Reaper. He's got to stop. He's got to pull out the cardiac sensor again, but as he continues to delay, all Reaper needs to do is play for cover. 12 seconds, 11 seconds, the time growing lower and lower, and as it eclipses 8, though Shu will get the frag. Valors lose the game, and it's Viral, 7-3.
Attacker mission successful.
Man, it just took him too long. I appreciate him trying to win that out. You know what really set him up for that, though, Stick, was that drone. That was it. Yep. Like, I think he would have been fine if that hadn't been there. He always had a good flank. He had a good idea of where his opponent was, but nope, he got spotted. And that's why he drone. For situations just like that. And unfortunate indeed, Shu in those clutch situations have been pretty good all day long, but just could not pull that one out. And Valor's on their map pick, not looking hot. It's not been a day for map picks here, has it really, for either of these two teams? But I know Valor's they got the bloody nose, right? They got their one map. They finally put a bit of a hurt on Viral, first team to really do so. Better teams than them have certainly tried, and it didn't work out for them, but Valors are the ones who can claim that little bit of glory, even if they didn't pick up the second map.
Yeah, their record is tarnished, but it's just slightly, just one loss, and it's still going to be impossible, I believe, for any team to overtake them, just because of the monumental performance that Viral have had this season. Yeah. And it is a little bit poetic that they only take a loss in the very final playday of the league, which, maybe True. There's some conclusions you could draw there about what that might mean as we get into the playoffs, but we still do have that second game, that VOD that we'll be casting. Yep. So until we get there, we'll be taking a short break. Stick with us. We'll be right back. Yeah, we're not going to beat around the bush too much. This will only be a single map of Siege. The second one in this recorded VOD was actually forfeit when it went down, but you wouldn't know that until now because it's been in the CCL Area 51 VOD vault. So, hey, there we go. The secret is out, and now we know. And we're on to Coastline, so this one isn't going to be too bad. Of course, Coastline's always a fun map when you get these more amateur-level teams because they like to play very aggressive, and Team Viral Man, do they fit that namesake? Yeah, definitely is a bit of an operator in hiding, but the Ionoban is, well, that's surprising to me in a lot of ways. Coastline, you gotta have a pretty constant stream of intel because it's very easy for you to send in a drone and for it to just immediately get shot. So banning the Iona, there could be a lot of situations for Shinigami as they begin on the offense, and when we'll get to Viral's attacks later, where they are operating with little intel, and they are just sort of relying on, number one, instincts, number two, audio cues, and three, just that confidence to swing and to know where usually you will expect defenders to be at. So I'm really curious to get stuck into this one. We'll have Shinigami begin on the offense, as I mentioned, and Lion brought in their initial composition. Always a very dominant attacking operator. Can be very helpful against teams that are aggressive, that like to do things like run-outs and are constantly being very fluid in the way that they play Siege.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs. Attackers have located a bomb.
Fire is deployed.
Loading new magazine!
10 seconds to go. 5 seconds left before insertion. Attacker's objective is to defuse a bomb.
Securing the perimeter.
Adding my flashlight.
Swapping mags!
Right, yeah, this would be a week number 3 game, so that was just when Viral were beginning to establish their record through the season. Ooh, Phoenix looking for a bit of a tag there onto one member playing from behind the bar. That should be Senpai on the Jaeger. Cam gets picked off, though, so a bit of evil foreshadowing there, Corbeck. As you mentioned, the Lion, you gotta stay alive to make use of that gadget. Well, he's the first one to fall.
Changing back.
Yeah.
Drone's ready.
Whoa.
Ready for reload.
Whoa. I'm not too sure either. I think it might have been the damage from a breaching charge, but who knows? We'll figure it out later if that even matters. One thing you'll know as well there, Phoenix and Teejing actually played together on... It was... Oh, I totally blanked. I know they worked together on Oceanus in Challenger League in 2020 Stage 2? It might have been 2021 Stage 1. I'm not exactly sure which one. It was either of those ones, but I know that they've got experience working at that T2 level, and Teejing has always been a player that I've really had my eye on. He's very... kind of well-adjusted sort of support. Sometimes he can do more flexy type stuff on his role, but he's definitely a strong player to have on your roster. He's not, you know, the huge fragger that you're constantly watching for that impact, but it's what you don't see. The comms that he adds, that decision-making element, that's really what keeps Teejing at the forefront of the comp scene.
Deployed.
Attackers have dropped.
For sure, and that's one of the big reasons that drove me into coaching, just to have that extra knowledge of what it's like behind, you know, when you're not in game, just watching, you know, the broadcast, but actually, you know, being with a team, knowing, you know, what goes into actually winning rounds and playing successful Siege. It's definitely a fun experience that I would implore all of you viewers who are big fans of Siege, who tune in to watch us every day at CCL. Maybe give comp a try, you know, whether that's actually as a player, maybe you think you got the good stuff to make it happen, playing a couple of go for scrims, all of that, or maybe if you're less of a, you know, an actually a playing player, but you're more of kind of that mind of Siege that you've got, perhaps a support staff role is where you would do well. It's definitely an experience that can give you a bit of a different picture. Viral with the first win, and it's pretty decisive there on the kitchen site. Shinigami, I felt like they fell off from the vertical fairly early, and they did not properly address the way that Viral were fairly spread out. I'd like to see them kind of calm down a little bit and try to focus on maybe establishing some early round goals to try to work forward to, and then eventually set out sort of the objective that you want to accomplish in the end, which usually is clearing out one of the bomb sites so that you can play the objective and get the case down.
Attackers are heading out to defuse the bomb.
Changing mag!
Defender exposed. Attackers have located a bomb.
Able to step to the defense, but ooh, here comes Stir, and he thinks about trying to run down there, but the Lion Scan will send him packing the other direction. From the outline, you can tell that Viral have sort of established pressure on a couple of different levels. Nebula senses Nitro up, makes an opening there behind the DJ stack. They're inside of VIP as Kenji secures the trade onto Senpai, and another kill. Found out now by Cam, having some impact there against the Malusi. 3 versus 3. The trade will come back. Nebula strikes now onto Phoenix. Minute and 30 to go. Teejing working a pick. I'm not even sure where that might have been, but wow, what a shot from Cam. Real miracle worker as the plant's beginning to come down. Gas canister sent out, but Teejing is just going to manage to escape. It won't matter. However, there as Kenji steps to the inside of Hookah and finishes off that last defender.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
All set. Bench deployed.
Attackers have discovered the location of a bomb.
Deploying ADS.
Yeah, I'm definitely eager to see what Phoenix has got planned, bringing in the Amaru. That gun really is one of the most ferocious weapons in Siege. And it can tear you up, and Coastline sometimes just gets down to sort of this Nuketown aspect of fighting your opponents, and there's less objective play sometimes involved. So perhaps Phoenix will be able to use the Gar hook, but I'm still kind of thinking about what he's going to use it for, other than a more accelerated way to get up on the rooftop. Maybe he's looking to grab a free pick early from the base angle, but he doesn't go there early enough, so it wouldn't really matter much either way, as there aren't any defenders lurking in that zone.
Changing mag! Finding our rats. Target sighted. C4 deployed. Reloading!
Impact toss from Reaper. DJing just pre-aiming the angle. Second one will be sent out in the little distraction move. Works for Reaper. DJing is put down. Just left up to Cam. We'll try to see if he can work a pick here inside Aqua. Swings in. Just a gun one down and gets Smithers as he hits him in the transition. Nice little spray transfer there. This quickly situation changing to one that, to be honest with you, I think kind of benefits Cam. He's got 3 flashbangs he could use to try to unsettle Nebula as the case option as well, but even despite all those advantages stacking up for the Lion, it's a simple test of reaction time, one that the Vector wins. I think it probably was to... This could be a bit of a stretch, but I think what he was doing was trying to use the impact to create screen shake, which makes it very difficult to hit your shots. That would be my assessment. Either that, or it was just purely a distraction.
Attackers have discovered the location of a bomb.
Stop worrying about grenades. More guns ready. Shoot it if you need it. Bang my gun.
10 seconds to insertion. 5 seconds left before insertion. Attackers have located a bomb. Attackers' objective is to defuse the bomb.
Loading new magazine!
Setting up a little show.
Fuse has a bit of a kind of a quirky role in the meta currently, but in this side in particular, I think Fuse, there is an argument that you can make for him, most especially in this case, where you have just the Jaeger and there is no additional Wamai to gobble up any of the other Fuse pellets from the gadget there. Almost a final to Smithers. Kenji just working a bit of the vert. Maybe a little launch in Nitro, but oh, maybe if he had just pulled the detonation about a half-second quicker, he might have gotten that pick instead of almost mortally wounding T-Jing, but I imagine that's going to let the ace know to be a little bit more cautious about the way that he plays out the rest of this round. Smithers eventually found out after he had suffered that earlier damage via Kenji through the bathroom floor hole, and Phoenix has managed to use the majority of his Fuse charges so far, and clearing out some of this utility. Last one maybe going down soon. Nope, instead a breaching charge to make sure nobody's hiding out at wine.
The attacker's bomb diffuser has been dropped.
Changing mag. Activating drone.
Attackers recovered the diffuser.
Still sort of needing to settle on it. I imagine this has got to be a push coming in from Service. Kitchen would not really be an option at this point. Nebula locking down the long angle. Cam will use his EE1D to sneak in. However, Stern is quick on the push in. final Matryoshka will be used, but it doesn't really do much for Phoenix, who now has to fight his way through the last three. The Melusi looking the complete opposite direction. Could have maybe just opened up this window. It's Jaeger last alive playing from jail, but the pistol sends Phoenix away before the clutch 1v3 comes possible.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
That's a tough question to answer, but, I mean, you just think about what Thatcher can do. Disable the Evil Eyes and disable the ADS. I mean, that's really the only part of this that's really relevant. There was this trick you used to be able to do. I'm not sure if it still works, but essentially during the plant, on some of the sites that are a little bit more objective focused, where winning the site often means, you know, you must get the case down, and generally the defense will sort of let you do that and then try to retake. You could begin to plant the defuse, and then you would throw down the EMPs, 2 of them sort of staggered. That way when a nitro would come through, the EMPs would actually break it mid-air. It's this sort of really weird, nuanced trick that has fallen out of fashion because you can shoot nitros now that the net code has gotten better. I do not think that's not the reason behind it, but it is kind of curious to think back to when that was still popular.
Evil eye deployed.
Swapping mags.
Bomb located by attackers.
Load him back! Drone up.
Cluster charge going.
EMP incoming. Sending Silva. Cluster charge activated.
Selma sent in should mean the wall at Pangu gets open and could allow for the push forward. Another cluster charge now will detonate. Cryptic's finally in the process of being rezzed back up by his teammate. Nebula, a little bit low on the health at the moment, joined as well in that same regard by Senpai. Minute and 20 for this push to come alive, and I honestly think this is plenty to work with. The man advantage. The one concern is Smithers has still got a toxic Babelist, but as long as you're able to waste that out, you should be fairly smooth sailing. And it does strike me as a bit odd, Tristan, that Smithers has got the deployable still in pocket. I'm not sure how that managed to happen, but I don't think he's really going to be able to put the shield down in the late stage. Senpai DBNO as MX Reaper is finished off. It's up to Smithers, and the shield is not going to be enough to pull this one off. Right around the corner, T-Jing is planting from safe cover, but all Cryptix needs to do is just continue to pour the bullets through that opening space. Yes, because of the Matryoshka doll, those
Attackers
little
need to locate
Russian
and defuse
things.
bombs.
Nesting dolls. It's like 6 or something.
Can stop worrying about grenades now.
Rolling resupply.
145.
10 seconds left. 5 seconds remaining.
APS deployed and ready to go.
Attackers must locate and defuse a bomb.
Reloading.
Yeah, it's a bit of a difficult question to answer, but for this site in particular, I wouldn't think it would be the Buck that would really be the most, significant op to add to your lineup. Maybe there is some argument to be made about using the skeleton key below and pushing some defenders out of hookah, but really the area inside of hookah that is buckable or is a soft floor is not really entirely relevant, because usually defenders don't sit there, and so that soft floor most often reserved for when it's a bars defense and you're trying to get vertical from up above, and instead of this below approach that the Buck might be able to use. There is a little bit extra space below the billiard side, which is where I would probably suggest the Buck's deployment. You're thinking about the pink bar. That's a pretty impactful space for that skeleton key to shoot out from, but the Buck is on the rooftop, so he can't really use the skeleton key at the moment. And another part that sort of fits into that puzzle as well is you would actually have to have them take control of the first floor, because this is not a given, and now it just doesn't matter because Phoenix is dead and the skeleton key is completely lost. So there goes all of that color, because the Buck just kind of takes a fight over by the penthouse side that doesn't end up in his favor, and will send this round sort of reeling off and away from that topic, but Shinigami still kind of do need to focus up a little bit. 3 to 3 half is within their grasp potentially here, but not if Team Viral can continue to test them like this by pushing forward, by trying to, fight back against this map control. You got to be able to lock that down, really, and it's not happening so far until maybe just now that Cryptix steps into the Aqua Bar and T-Jing chimes in for a kill against Stern. Plant beginning to come down, and without a Nitro, with only one remaining Toxic Babe, it's almost a sure thing, and in fact, there we are. The case is down into the post plant where Team Viral, currently the disadvantage is theirs, and still an angle being held out by Cam, which is going to make this near impossible unless Smithers does this, where he runs out from hookah. Cryptix from the reverse repelled. I've been here before. It's not a great spot to be as a defender, and to be constantly suppressed by an overwhelming outpour of gunfire. Eventually, Cryptix will get it done there with the headshot. Well, that's the first half done and dusted. It's an even one, 3 to 3. Shinigami sort of figure out the assembly process for the attack there and getting the bomb down and establishing all those various steps. But wow, we step into the second half and the aggression definitely going to come through a little bit more so. You're bringing in the Ash, who is not really the most popular operator at the moment for her terrible recoil woes. And the Ying as well. Could be explosive, but I'm not entirely sold that it's the option you want on the hookah push.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
All right.
Have located a bomb.
We're still working through some issues, so we'll get that all fixed up, and we'll get the discussion back between myself and Corbeck, not just the one-man Sticulus show. But, I don't know. I guess we'll just have to let this play out. Reaper bringing in the IQ would make sense in this scenario toward the Valkyrie to be still up, but I believe she was removed in the veto, so that doesn't really leave it open, which also brings me back to the earlier point when we had the Amaru being brought. It's probably just for the gun. It really, you don't need to have much else, so... Oh, she's not even bringing the G8, though. Reaper is bringing in the 5.52, so... this is just bewildering.
Betrayed us. went for the strange choice, but all right, whatever. If it makes you feel comfortable, go for it, I guess. Looks like hopefully my audio issues are fixed right there. Voice Peter Banana decided that it just didn't want to play ball today, so that's fine. Teaching here, opening up the wall just a little bit, gives him the sight line down towards the office entryway, but it's Senpai who strikes early with a good kill onto the aforementioned Teaching, who just gets caught during his process of creative redecorating, and they are definitely in here. Sturm pushes all the way up into Sunrise Bar. The shield is there, but nobody really in a position to oppose them. Nebula already picking up a kill there on Kenji Maistor for some reason. Got caught out of position and brought down. Reaper trying to push the back stairs, runs into the Warden there, and Phoenix will survive that encounter, but only briefly. It's not a great position to be in. Droned out, the swing comes out. Still, Phoenix has not dead. He's dodging bullets left and right, but he can't dodge the last couple of shots there from Reaper.
Headshot connects, and that's Cool Vibes capitulated. And the defense, almost in that same regard as well. Only 2 remaining members, Viral, are going to try to file up this staircase. Reaper will actually shoot his teammate in the head. Oh, but look at that, though, now, as Cam will line up 2 and an SMG-11 spray down, with Reaper on a fraction of health and Smithers not far behind. This could potentially be a big clutch coming out from Cam. You can start to see the nerves, though, acting up a little bit as he mistosses that Toxic Babe, forced to pick it back up. Another toss will come through, but it's actually an attacker close. Cam now flashed out by Smithers. It'll be MX Reaper who does do him in there. That was very close to disaster for the offense.
Oh, I should have just thrown it close. You almost feel like he should have thrown it close. I think he threw it to try and deny a plant right there, but I feel like he should have just thrown it maybe close and detonated it and tried to get himself a little bit of space. I think he had enough that he could have done that, right? Did he have all 3 or did he have 2? It was enough that he could have bought himself a little bit of room there. And I mean, obviously he wasn't to know how low the health was in that situation from Reaper, but he could have very easily killed or down the IQ there as well if he had just done that on short range. But whatever. If wishes were fishes, the sea would be full. It doesn't go down that way, and it will not work out there, though I appreciate Cam trying to stall it out. Team Viral picking up another win, looking all right on their attacks so far here. I don't think this is out of reach for Shinigami at all. I don't know the score of this game, to be fair, but I don't think this is out of reach for Shinigami to maybe build back on this one. They're bringing the Ella here, the Mozzie. So some more operator kind of changes, some flexibility, what have you. And still Reaper bringing in the IQ, which I'll be honest with you, I don't even really know why the IQ is necessary at this stage.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't think it is necessary. That was my conclusion. It was for the gun, but why would you bring the 5.52? That's just... Yeah. It doesn't make sense. Maybe Viral would be better off just bringing like a Capital or something. I mean, the 5.52 and the Para 308 are basically the same gun. So to actually have a piece of utility, i.e., the asphyxiating and smoke bolts, that might be more relevant. But Teaching, does he peek the hookah window? No, man, you can't do that.
Oh, you can. You got punished for it. Lesson learned. Probably a lesson you should have already known, but that's okay. Sometimes you got to learn it a couple of times. And they are doing a pretty good job of pushing in right here. They've got good intel as well. The droning game has been, pretty solid. Will destroy the Grismont there. Stern takes the other option and just runs face first into it, continuing to spam down range with the assault rifle. No hesitation at all. And they now push forward again. Kenji Meister here on a longer angle with the Roni trying to get a pick in. Instead receives 2 nasty shots. I don't know why he continued to try and fight that one out, but It was brave, but perhaps not the wisest decision that's ever been made. Stern here with plenty of room to push up on those 7 kills already in the round. Smithers looks like they're pretty much done and dusted pushing in here. Really just a very convincing horizontal attack. Barely any vertical pressure needed here, Stick. They're just smashing their way in.
Oof. A little bit of crossfire damage there, and the confirm, the swing out, and the finisher move by Cryptics from the bathroom door. 2 versus 3. Pushing up does not really avail me with the most confidence here. And now a Candela. Nebula sort of thinking twice. He's going to actually send in a smoke. The first Candela will detonate. Now the EE1D tries to send in that follow-up Candela, but is actually captured by an ADS that reactivates. However, that just doesn't matter.
It does not matter. No, it is just complete devastation there, and basically on the back of gun skill, really, more than anything else. I mean, I guess that's not entirely unexpected for Coastline, but I got to appreciate Team Viral just kind of like, oh, you know what? We're just going to smash our way in. No hesitation. It didn't start off well for Shinigami from the very beginning, though. I mean, losing Tijing kind of earlier on it was just rough, right? One less gun you have, and it did kind of open the door there for Team Viral to just brute force their way through this. That said, Team Viral not really bringing anything too surprising. They show the buck there for about half a second. They potentially 6-pick out of it, but they are running out of time, and it will be a Twitch who's brought along instead. Maestro making an appearance here as well, and a Pulse coming in. That's a bit of an interesting choice. Not necessarily a terrible choice, but an interesting one. And I appreciate to a certain extent that Shinigami are trying to show off their tactical flexibility here. They're trying to run different operators to try and see what works, but at a certain point in time, right, like Reese, you gotta settle down, right? You gotta pick some guys and kind of go with them. When you're constantly fluctuating, you're never ever really able to get settled. It was very strange.
Yeah, this is a really weird game to try to get a read on, because it just feels like both teams are just trying to do a lot of very different strategies, and it's constantly in flux. Like, last round, same site, but we had, like, a completely different operator lineup. Like, there was smoke, there was not a Pulse. That's new. There's not a Maestro from what I remember. This is just Shinigami trying to completely change the entire strategy, which, don't get me wrong, I mean, maybe that's a decision to make, but I don't know. That's just bad luck. That's got to be a real frustrator.
Yeah, just got absolutely canned right there. That is unfortunate. It stopped in front of the window. Got punished for it. Kenji Meister doing a good job, though, wrenching it back with the Roni, but the amount of health he lost on that one is not good at all. Still in a very dangerous situation right there. The C4 ripped and gripped, but unfortunately misses its target. Still a 3 for 3 here. Not really liking this position that poor Kenji Meister is in. He's going to have to battle his way out of there. Phoenix on the top rotate hasn't really even been able to get that much advantage off the cardiac sensor, and it'll be Senpai who steps up and finally brings Kenji Meister down.
The Execute has arrived, but a well-timed run out there from Phoenix is going to delay it a little bit longer. Nebula getting to toss in the Candelas. Will go for 2. Cam has got to turn away, but actually flashes the Ash inside the bathroom, so she has to stop. This could be the opening that Cam needs. We all know how these two weapons stack up with so much ammo. All Cam needs to do is just train his gun sights, finally gets the finisher, and hits the swing to win it. Wow, what a play by Cam.
The pre-fire. Oh, not even really a pre-fire now that I look at it again. He just hit it first. Just good reflexes coming out of Cam. He was on the receiving end of failing a reflex test when he was on the defense, so he wins it back with that one. Very solidly done indeed, and that had been a heater of a round there for the Ash player as well, so it was a bit of a shame to see him go down like that, but really well played by Cam. Appreciated too, him able to bring down the rush in from the Ying when he was blinded, just kind of held the Alda down as he rotated around the corner, and enough bullets connected right there to drop him on the push in. Definitely set a different tenor for that entire defensive kind of end game scenario. You see Team Viral, you know, they're going to make a couple of swaps here again. The IQ making their presence felt once more on the Reaper. They're sticking with Nebula on the Yang, and I don't actually disagree with that choice. Smithers is coming out on the Lion, and on the other side, well, they're sticking with the Pulse here. That is something that I think is a bit interesting because I felt like they didn't get a ton of value out of Pulse on the last round.
Yeah, I feel like I didn't see the Pulse really do anything, but
Jumped
that's
out a window.
maybe.
That was
That's
about
right.
it.
He did. Yeah, maybe that was the reason for the cardiac sensor. And I feel like Phoenix. That was a 2K, right? Because he got the kill when he jumped out, but I think he also ran out onto the Aqua balcony and shot the Lion who was repelled on the security window. It's like the weirdest angle. Almost never see that. And the thing that made it more bizarre was the Nitro didn't even connect. It was like the Nitro didn't matter. That was really weird. I'd be really keen to watch that one back, like slow-mo on the replay, to just see what had happened there, because that was so weird. Such a weird situation. Not to mention, you add in the fact that T-Jing got wall-banged as well.
Yeah, well, it's gonna happen, I guess, if you stand in front of soft windows and get shot. But that was a wacky round. That was really something. I actually really enjoyed this matchup. It's a shame that this one didn't get the broadcast live, because these two teams are really doing a spectacular job of playing this out, and there's a lot of variety in here. More variety than I think we see in a lot of our other games, as Senpai just lights Cryptics up, but Cam, quick on the trigger finger, gets Stern on the other side, so no real advantage there, won by Team Viral despite getting the opening pick. T-Jing, the next defender here, and the little bit of tower defense that Senpai is walking through. Senpai walks through the door, doesn't check the corner. T-Jing gets him. T-Jing goes for another one, but won't find it. And as has been tradition here, Reaper immediately trades the kill back, so the 3-3 is maintained. Reaper now pushing up on a different angle, trying to cut off Sunrise with that long angle down towards the blue bar.
And the one thing here, I would be awfully careful if I was Nebula standing on the opposite side of that soft wall with T-Jing's Nitro still the possibility, and you would imagine eventually he's probably going to get tired of waiting and try to use that. Look at the floor bang shot, but Phoenix a little bit too slow, probably wishing he had a higher DPS gun there against Nebula as he gets him within a tiny fraction. T-Jing now working the flank, will walk in, guns down Reaper, headshot connects. Looking for another one now by the towels door as Smithers has started to step in, and I think the Malusi, no, she does not come out on top in that fight. As Smithers is able to chain together the headshot there to bring us back to a 2 versus 2.
Again, they just keep trading back and forth. There's no give on either of these sides, but, I mean, Phoenix and Cam are very high health. You cannot say the same about Smithers and Nebula. Nebula is literally holding on by a fraction of a hair right here, very close to death as the Banshee starts going off. Able to destroy that is Nebula. Nebula now pushing up towards Billiards. Could hard check that wall and will do so, but again, dangerous situation, and Cam gets him with the evil eye. The little tippy tap of the laser, the sizzle sizzle is too much to handle, and now it's all down on the back of Smithers, and he is getting covered by the sizzle here as well. It's actually got eyes on the diffuser, and if Smithers isn't careful, he'll get lasered to death. He's actually going to push up here on the side of the billiard table. They've got him full pinged out. There'll be no escaping this as Phoenix gets him with the ump and turns it into a defensive win.
God, that was... They just had him dead to rights there with the evil eye, and then what a weird round. This game has just gotten way more wacky towards the latter half, but the game is tied here. So, I mean, hey, we could be seeing potential for overtime, and it's so weird that it would be this match and not the earlier one. It feels like the earlier match was really the one where we were wanting overtime. You know, you had the early result where Valors beat Viral on their map pick, and then they go to their own territory. But nope, Viral just go to Valor's pick and win as rapidly as their opponent had them. So maybe, I don't know. This game has just lost all semblance of normalcy, but that kind of happens when you play Coastline.
Yeah, that's just true. It's a very chaotic map, right? And it's, you know, the carousel of operators I don't think is particularly surprising here either on Coastline. If there's ever a map that you were just going to be like, hey, let's pull out this guy, see what they can do. Hey, throw an Amaru in there, let's see what happens. It's definitely, Coastline is primed for that, all things considered. So, not big surprise, but I agree. It has been a very strange one. A lot of things you don't necessarily see very often. I mean, when was the last time you saw, you know, just a straight up evil eye kill and organized play, right? It doesn't happen on a very frequent basis, but it's happened here. Stern taking out a camera right away. No actually too crazy operators in, though they are still maintaining the presence of the Ying. Smithers will be on the Lion again as well. Reaper has swapped back over to the IQ. Come hell or high water, likes to run this IQ. Has an idea that there might be a defender there, but, you know, we know they're kind of chasing a ghost, but they don't know that. So we'll see how long he holds that angle with absolutely no one there. Ironically, the defenders are all on the other side of him, and he just has no idea. Oh, that's unfortunate.
Now, to be honest, I was sort of just hoping that Reaper would just walk into blue. I would really love to see him just stop waiting and baiting inside office and decide to go. There's somebody flanking him from security, though, so I hope there's a drone in that position. Otherwise, the IQ is about to have a very sudden surprise from the east end. She actually does walk into the blue bar. This could be a pretty big play. You can see there's two players in jungle. There's another one in the quad wall, but not spotted. Oh, but the alibi just gets the better of him, and that's sort of what you get for Reaper. Kind of crouch walking the whole time. Nebula put down as well, so you lose out on the ability to just fly in here with the Ying. Shinigami, though, 5 versus 2. Could Smithers and Senpai cut this one back?
Well, Senpai does manage to pick up a kill. Senpai losing some serious health. Gets another one. Smithers getting in on the action as well, and they might just have been able to claw this one back from the brink, snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. Can they finish it off, though? Kenji Meister is still here. Cam there as well. Both of them well set up here to repel an attack. Smithers looking down the site, just waiting for somebody to walk into it. No way he backs up into that. No, Cam stops at just the right place. No, he's going to do it. He crosses the team, but Smithers had probably pulled off the angle.
I guess he did, and he misses his window, but now for Viral, they've already got the hard part of this round put to rest, fighting those picks back from the disadvantage. Bit of vertical play. Senpai wants to make sure there's nobody hiding below. You can see the smoke still on the other side of that wall. Senpai drops down and try to come in from towels. The thing I don't like about this here, the defense are playing fairly far apart, and especially when it's the Lion that you're working against, that can really easily lend into a situation where you just get dropped down. Cam is distracted, flattened by Senpai. Now it's left up to Kenji, the 1.5x warrior there with the Roni. Smithers planting. He's got the safety, I believe, the bomb chassis to give him cover. It'll go down. Now he's got to work it back. The disadvantage has slowly trickled away. Meanwhile, Viral haven't even lost a single player since that 2v5 began. And Smithers now aware of the position. Kenji needs to create the rotate. Has to be careful about that explosive radius of the C4. Spots Senpai. So much damage done to the Ash. Only a sliver of health. It could be a single bullet to take down either of these players, but it just won't matter as it's a monster 2 versus 5 clutch.
Huge, massive, ridiculous that they were able to pull that off. And gosh, I don't know what happened to poor Cam right there. What triggered him to look to the left when he was in that gunfight? He also backed up in such an awkward manner. He just kind of exposed himself. But I mean, Team Viral more than happy to take free reign there off of those mistakes. And poor Shinigami, that's got to be tilting. That's there's no way they aren't getting tilted like a tilt-a-whirl right now off of the back of that. You lose a 2v5 to just 2 guys who really just dig in and are determined and refuse to give up right there. I genuinely am shocked that Team Viral was able to wrench that one back around. Just a very solid display of individual gun skill and communication there.
Yeah, it really shows that Siege has a lot of factors that are fairly definite, but sometimes you kind of throw those out the windows, and when you've got 2 players who are working together, who are dialed in and who maybe just wanted a little bit more, they can get a lot of work done in a fairly terrific manner as that win, that 2 versus 5, the unthinkable victory, pushes Team Viral within just 1 round of closing out this map.
Bomb located by attackers.
And it was a fairly spontaneous one. I imagine that'll probably be something that's going up on Twitter, and Smithers and Senpai probably feeling pretty good about themselves. You mentioned the tilt factor. You hate to have that be the one that decides it for match point, because Shinigami don't have any time to mentally recover. They have no safety net. They're just immediately thrust into this position where it's win or lose. Either way, your opportunities here are fairly slim.
If you had had that round maybe 3 rounds ago, you got a little bit of cushion, you can kind of give yourself some time to work back, get a good round on your belt, rebuild some of that confidence. But you're right, Reese, there's just literally no ability for them to come back on this one. You've got to go straight into match point after getting kind of boomed. But Stern here jumping straight in through, even checks down right there, doesn't really need to. Straight into Sunrise again. Sunrise has been a little bit fluid. Stern just lights Tjing up, and it's been a relatively rough game for Tjing, all things considered. The Lion Ping coming out right there. They've got the Red Ping as well to give him a bit of a heads up, and Cryptix just gets lit up by Reaper coming around the corner. And this is just disaster after disaster here for Team Shinigami. They are not able to find their level at all. Kenji Meister, the next to fall, is annihilated by Smithers. And you're down to just 2 men left. Some shots coming in from the pistol of the Pulse. The C4 coming out, going for the top-down C4. You don't see that very often. Phoenix drops in on the other side. The ump is out. The Lion Ping in, pinning Pulse in place. But is he able to get a kill out of this? He is. He's got to watch the long sight line on the window, though. And now he's got pressure. He downs 2 right there, but can confirm neither of the kills as Cam goes down. There goes Phoenix. And it ends with a flawless round by Team Viral. And, geez, you really got the feeling there, Stick, that Shinigami's mental, their morale was broken on that round.
That was just an avalanche instilled by Viral after a massive recovery in the 2 versus 5. They step in after that one, not losing any kills after whittling down all 5 members. They go into the next round, and they do it all over again. But this time, they don't even lose a single player. That's got to be pretty destructive there with that result. And maybe this is the thing that started it all for Viral, that began their campaign for the season, as we know, of course, now finishing it at 13-1. It's a pretty dominant record, just losing a single map so far this season. Probably a record, probably going to stand maybe even beyond future seasons of CCL.
Yeah, you know, it's funny enough, like, you do get the vibe that maybe was kind of the moment, right? That was the breaking point right there for Viral. I mean, they had to be so gassed. I can't even imagine how gassed they were after that 2v5. But you felt it in the way that they were playing on that last round. It was just clinical. I mean, it was like real-life Special Forces kind of clinical. It was just boom, swing corner down, boom, swing corner down, boom, swing corner down, again and again and again and again. There was one brief moment right there where there was a little bit of clapback from Phoenix, but he was in such a difficult position playing out there in the courtyard that, I mean, there wasn't much the Pulse could do, right? He gets the pick, and then he's just immediately under fire from multiple angles. And I feel for Shinigami, to be honest, because I don't think they played badly on Coastline, all considered. As weird as it was, I thought they kept their level pretty well, but you felt like they just got run on a little bit in those last 2 rounds.
Yeah, that was unfortunately just such a devastating, and not only the final player to pull out the cardiac sensor. Yeah, man, that's just doing you no favors. Yeah. And maybe that plays into the reason why they ended up forfeiting that second match. Of course, this game was the recorded VOD, so we don't have any of the answers. But that's all from us here tonight. We do have more CCL coming in tomorrow, and that'll be on LAN, which is really, it's a first for us here at CCL, so we really wish that you guys would all tune in for that one. It's going to be a huge celebration. That match, you got to watch out for it. That will be CCL at Waves, and it'll be Northern Shield Academy taking on Niagara Esports. So, I mean, that could be That could be a real shocker. I'll be there tomorrow. I think I'll be with Binks, so I'm really looking forward to that game. That'll start at 4 p.m. EST, so make sure you check out CCL on all social medias. But that's all from us here tonight. We were really glad to bring you this show. It's a bit of a spontaneous one, but hey, we had some fun. We hope to see you guys all tomorrow. Farewell.